Warning, this podcast has some swears in it.
I'd rate it PG-13 at most, but let's just be on the safe side and say viewer discretion is advised.
Get me started.
Get it closed. Okay. Let's set the tone. Let's set the tone. It's a dusty town. There's gonna be some tumbleweeds. Quinn's track's gonna be in the background, and it's the showdown at high noon. I don't know. Marker, go.
Chuckles Garbanza. Figured I'd find you in this spot.
Well, yeah, I put all those signs up so you could find me. What can I tell you? I made it easy. I want this showdown to happen.
I told you, my guy, I'm the best there is, and you're about to find out why.
Oh, am I? Am I really gonna find out why you're the best there is? Or am I just gonna tell you to kill me? And then your reputation's gonna be stained because look at me. I gave up. I give up right to you, and people are gonna be like, whoa, what the hell? Maybe Faye aren't like the best there is, and he was just going through a hard time.
And get it on?
Hey, hold on a second. This is kind of my thing. Okay, so what was I saying? I was saying a thing. I was like, oh, what if I give up? I give up, and then your reputation's going to take a hit. Yeah. What do you think of that? So maybe you don't want to kill me after all. Huh?
I think you're fucking dead, kiddo.
You're dead.
Oh, yeah? Well, two can play that game, and then I pull out a gun of my own, and I point it at a sign that says, don't shoot this sign. And that sign, I'm going to shoot it. Yeah.
Not the sign.
Yeah, not the sign. Yeah, I'm going to shoot this sign. So you shoot me, I'm going to shoot this sign. And people are going to be pretty mad at you for it. Because they specifically don't want this sign to get shot.
Let's fucking find out.
Okay.
And then here's where I pull the trigger.
And then I also shoot the sign. But I miss and I hit the grandpa.
Oh, my knee!
I never was a good shot. Tell my dad it's the future.
Time to raise your blades, heroes.
And check some vibes.
It's the Heroes Blade Vibe Check.
All right. The circle has been closed. We established the bit. We now have created and finished the bit. We have Mike Carrozza in the house. What's going on?
Hi, friends. How you doing? The bit's done. The bit has been laid to rest. The bounty is collected.
I hope so. They better have my fucking money in the office.
Yeah, it's like, if we match for inflation from like $18.99, it's like, I don't know, we'll say it's like $100, you know?
Well, hold on a second. Matching for inflation? Nobody does that.
Yeah, I'm making this shit up, dude. I have no fucking clue what this. It's Thunder Junction. What do you?
Concept?
You know what? It's actually he was worth 3 treasure tokens. There we go. You got that in your pocket.
Yeah, but they tap for 2 because you got a gold span dragon.
You got a gold span dragon. Yeah, there we go.
Let's fucking go.
That's what inflation is.
I get to retire early.
All right, so Mike Carrozza,
Yes.
you're Canadian for one, which is great, fantastic.
That's
we
right.
now have doesn't happen very often. You're a stand-up comedian. You're a
That's
funny
also
guy.
true. These
You're
are
a
all
funny guy.
facts.
And then you're also one of the hosts over on Am I the Bolcast podcast.
That's right. Am I the Bolcast? A podcast that is based on my column at commandercircle.com.
And you are
EDH
definitely
sister site.
the only Magic the Gathering podcast period ever of all
That's
time.
it. That's what I've taken the beginning to do.
It's a verifiable fact. You can check that.
Yeah, this
only
podcast you're
guys.
listening to right now, Quinn and I don't even play Magic.
I have to stop doing that. I have to stop saying that because it's like it's not true. It is very verifiably untrue, and I will say I love to lie, and that's why I begin every episode like that. You know, so it's just like, what am I? You know, I in service of the people, I do have to stop. I think that's the important part. But
Sends an email to Morgan. All right,
I'm
we gotta
messaging-
get a new establishing bit. I just don't know what that is yet. Let me workshop it.
look, Morgan, I need you to be super quiet while I say this. I fucked up.
And this is where we would say, sorry, Ken, but this is not that podcast. This is
No,
this
no.
podcast where we...
You're hearing them all. Oh, what word should we say? Ooh, this is exciting. What words?
Oh, you could say nearly all of the words as long as, like, you're not, like, doing derogatory shit, so who cares?
Yeah, I'm just.
You
I'm
can
gonna
say
do,
fuck 20 times in a row. Like, if the final count is, like, 20,000 fucks, we'll get there. We'll do it together.
We'll do that. We'll play Hot Dog by Limp Bizkit. And then also we'll do.
I'm sure that's very funny, but I've never heard that song before in my life.
Oh, okay. Let me find the exact quote that I need
Okay,
to make
'cause
my point. Because
only
Limp
thing-
Bizkit. Yeah, the only thing about this song that is worth knowing, is the fact it's literally every second word in this song is fuck. It's just
That's impressive.
yeah. So it's like and it's a diss track too. It literally is a parody of Nine Inch Nails' Closer.
Oh!
Like the chorus is "You want to fuck me like an animal."
Animal.
Yeah. And then
I have to
you want
listen to
to
the
burn
song
it on
now.
the inside. But then the thing is, the last verse ends with, "If I say fuck 2 more times, that's 46 fucks in this fucked up rhyme." And you know, when you're 11 years old and you're listening
that's
to this for the first
the
time,
greatest song you've ever heard of in your life.
you're like, "Oh my God, the sticker fell off when I bought this album. I did not know there was such explicitness. I gotta keep this from my parents. They would never stand for this. They say fuck 49 times in the second song, and it sucks." That's worth listening to.
So let's take that quick detour into like things that you got as a kid that you should not have gotten as a kid, and you told your mom to her face, "Mom, this is not an M-rated game," despite the fact there was a very clear M rating in the bottom corner of the thing, and you're just like, yeah, what is it? So my brother and I got No More Heroes on the Wii, and it was it's known for being an M-rated game on the family home console, right? And the first establishing thing is the intro says that you're this 30-year-old American otaku with a lightsaber, and you're gonna be an assassin. And the first thing you do is your character drives through a mansion's opening, like the front gates, jumps off his motorcycle, chops off like 3 dudes' heads in one swipes, and as he hits the ground and blood splurting all over the place, like it's a fucking Tarantino movie, he says "fuckhead," and then the game starts, and I'm like,
Tally fucking ho, Cathars, is Saint Traft intended.
I'm sitting there with the Wii and the nunchucks in my head, and I'm like, oh man, if Mom finds out about this, I'm so fucked.
Yep.
Ah, man.
I
That
love
just
that
sounds
shit.
like a good time.
It's so goofy. The way you recharge your laser sword is use it like it's a shake weight.
Oh wow, really?
and all that it implies. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's funny. Video games are stupid and silly, and so is Magic the Gathering. As it
And
turns
they're
out.
also art, by the way.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm sticking on. I'm like, they're stupid and silly, but also art. Don't you dare.
Plenty
That's
of art is also stupid and silly.
Yeah, oh
you're
yeah,
talking to one
obviously.
right now. That's my whole brand.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, you surprised this guy's an idiot? No, he tells us every time he touches a microphone.
We're all having a great time just being silly little gamers.
Look,
Silly
I'm a-
little gamers. That's
I'm a
what's up.
white guy with a microphone doing a podcast. The only thing that I could be doing is having like those simple profile pictures or like whatever where like it's just like the hair outline and the beard outline and like the glasses of whatever generic white dude that like does content creation. That's the next step, but I'll never grow facial hair, so it'll only just be my hairline and like my eyebrows or something.
I tried for a bit. I had a dumb little mustache, and I got one good joke out of it and shaved it because I kept seeing the way people looked at it.
Oh,
It's not worth keeping.
It's just uncomfortable, and everyone's like, you can get beard oil and all this other stuff, and I'm like,
More maintenance? Everything's so
shave it
tough.
off. Shave it off. Don't care.
That's it. Take it out. Get it. You know what? You've also got like a nice like shadow going. You look like you could grow some stubble. That's where it's
Exactly.
at. You don't need a beard. If I could
No.
grow a beard, would I do it? I don't know that I would. I don't know.
It's
I
just-
can't hide the dimples. Those are the money makers, baby.
Hey, there we go. Yeah.
That's why
Anyway,
people
this is
trust me.
This is a Magic the Gathering podcast, as it turns out.
Impossible.
I can't believe
Ostensibly.
it. Mike, you know what we're here to do. Let's start us off. Let's do some vibe checks. What do you got for us?
I picked 2 today. I picked
That's
my
fine.
So here's the thing. I picked one before we had some spoilers from Tarkir Dragonstorm, and then we got one that's perfect from Tarkir Dragonstorm. So let's talk about the one from Doctor Who. Doctor Who, you've got a Doctor's Companion, legendary human Ryan Sinclair for 2 in a red. Whenever Ryan attacks, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may pay you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if its spell with mana value less than or equal to Ryan's power. That, and then you put the exiled cards not cast this way at the bottom of your library. But clearly, if you're adding 3 power and your deck is well constructed, it's a very high likelihood that you're going to hit a card that you can cast with Ryan when that Hero's Blade gets attached very easily. And yeah, I mean, I wish there was a Doctor in Doctor Who that had black in its color identity that I could put this in the command zone with, because then I could be like, well, we don't need to be a Prosper deck, but we could definitely play a little like one, you know?
Yeah.
It was
And-
it was surprising. Like, I don't know Doctor Who, obviously obligatory
neither.
Doctor Who mentioned, but it was surprising to me that like you can have a heroic character that has negative traits. Like the War Doctor seemed like someone who could probably have that in his color identity, but they instead
I
go
think if they
Boros.
weren't committed to the black mana is evil in that particular set, then we probably would have gotten something like that. But otherwise, we have to stick with these specific color identities for all of our Doctor characters.
I mean, let's look at Magic's design problem in general. Is that the villains default to a combination of Grixis in most situations, you know? And they're like, let's also take this franchise and apply the exact same issue. And you're just like, fuck. But, okay.
No, I'm not complaining. I love that shit.
Yeah,
Give me all
I know
the
you're
villains
not.
and make them always in Grixis.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, here's the thing. I think white's pretty villainous as a color, and you know, my girlfriend's just nodding. She doesn't know what I'm talking about. She just thinks that white people are evil.
She said, "White villains." Yes, dude.
Hell yeah, Quinn.
What? You know, and then to their credit, we look at Assassin's Creed, and we got Hatham. Kenway, who was Azorius, who was a Templar, and I'm like, you know what? No, doesn't matter how professional or nice he is to you on the surface. That man is fucking evil.
Yeah. I mean,
and he believes he's right. That's the other part. He believed he's right. He's a white man from England who believes he's right. And
well, that's the thing. Is like you've got characters like if you were to make a fascist analog in Magic, you would have to go Azorius base, maybe give it a black activated ability, because there is some ambitiousness to the fact that you want to control everything. But Azorius is evil. I don't know how else to tell you. A lot of Azorius can be skewed evil.
Supreme Verdict, stacks pieces, counter
Dovin
spells.
Bond. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Dovin.
what a dickhead.
Yeah. Anyway, so Ryan Sinclair was my first pick. 5 power is such a sweet spot. Like, I think he passes the vibe check on the Hero's Blade.
I'm absolutely signing off on this because, one, he can cast the Hero's Blade with his attack trigger if it comes down after him, and he curves into, Hero's Blade curves into him perfectly with Blade on 2 and Ryan on 3. Both situations are acceptable. I think that's a really good include.
I just kind of feel like it was like when I saw him, I was like, this is the most obvious pick for me up until, get this, friggin' Tarkir Dragonstorm, Codis the Fang Keeper, freaking villainous wealth on combat damage. Excuse me, a Sultai for 4 1 in a Sultai, zombie warrior, legendary creature with indestructible. Did they need this?
Sick. No, yeah, but like I don't care.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And whenever it deals combat damage, it's literally villainous wealth on that player.
Equal to power, yeah.
Yeah, equal to power. So you're back up to 5. Again, you're looking at the top 5 of a person's deck, and unless they're doing something wonky like X spells, you're probably going to hit something worth your time. Even if it's just a mana rock, it might be ramp, it might be like a solid 5-drop. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I really, really like Codis for, well, just in general. I don't think this is here's the thing about Codis is like I pulled up Architect and I was messing with it, and I was like, oh, let me put all these cards in it, and then you realize that you can't really play test a deck like this because it requires...
you don't know. You have no idea what you're going to hit.
So I'll tell you what, a lot of decks are going to be called on EDHREC.com as being Codis decks and indicating like this is how you build it, but a lot of those are theory crafting. A lot of people are not going to move off the second step of actually building the deck and putting it together. I think we're not going to see this as much as we would think.
I had a thought. A friend of mine, Joel, he has a Glarb Villainous Wealth deck, and the goal of the deck is to grab Villainous Wealth and try to cast it as many times as he conceivably can. Now, my thought was, and I need to kind of hear his thoughts on it because he hasn't quite given it yet, I was like, well, you now have Villainous Wealth as a creature in the command zone in the same color combination. So, did this make it too easy, or is it still something you can work with? Because we're still talking about a 4-mana 2/1. You still have to make him deal combat damage to people, and you have to find ways to scale him up. And you have to find a way to not do too much combat damage. Otherwise, you're not getting that trigger. You're just eliminating the player. So you have to play that. And maybe the end goal is you eventually reach that point because you still need a way to end the game. But my line of thinking is you're in one of the strongest color combinations in Commander, and you have the potential of finding numerous different ways of achieving the goal of having this guy deal damage to your opponents. It's just, what else do you flesh that out with around the shell of like, cool, I'll give him unblockable, then what's the next step? What do you do on top?
You just play evasion and knives and payoffs for having stolen spells.
Quinn, not everyone wants to put in the Sword of X and Y cycle in their decks. You can't just hit them with the template. You can't just hit them with the template, Quinn. All right.
I'm not saying just Swords of X and Y. There are plenty of other knives that are worthy of inclusion. I think Wand of Orcus in particular, if you're going to be turning your guys sideways and dealing combat damage, you need to ensure that you don't get fucked up on the crackback, and the Wand of Orcus can do that when you deal damage and make zombies equal to that amount.
I've seen enough people bring up Mutate for Codis,
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that's a good
fucking
job.
go. Yeah.
This is
Love
like,
that.
especially when you have like Brokos in the graveyard, like
Oh, hell
anytime,
yeah, dude.
yeah, dude.
I've always thought mutate is just like fancy auras, and anytime you want to be turning a guy sideways and he's not a human, consider this very special auras of mutate
Yeah.
creatures.
Yeah, such a cool way to build the deck, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But those are my
Brainstealer
vibe
Dragon.
checks. Ryan Sinclair and Codus the Fangkeeper.
Excellent. Love that.
Hell yeah.
Well, let's continue the Tarkir Dragonstorm stuff because, okay, all right, we are recording this in the middle of preview season. We're going to be
Quite
getting the rest of them probably just around the time or just after this episode comes out. So I'm grabbing my desk, shaking it furiously, waiting for the Heroes Blade reprint. Where fucking is it? I know it's here. Okay. So,
It's gonna be in the
let's talk
Tuber
about
deck.
where. Yeah. All right. So I got two. Yeah, I got two. So I got two mentions. I got Eshki Teemer's Roar, which is the pre-con legend version of
Right.
Eshki. The other one's pretty cool, but not the one. So we got Teemer for a 2/2 human warrior. When you cast a creature spell, put a +1 counter on Eshki. If that creature or if that spell's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. If its power is 6 or greater, Eshki deals damage equal to her power to each opponent. So we're at 5. We're already off to a great start. 5 is the
baby.
golden number this episode.
Yeah, buddy.
But yeah, getting 6 power creatures in green is the easiest it's ever fucking been. We got 3 mana like 5/4s. We got 4 mana 6 whatevers. Like it's gonna be insane. This is
Got
gonna be doing a
Phyrexian
lot of work.
Dreadnought for 1 mana. It goes away.
Yeah,
but-
who cares? Just fucking
Uh-huh.
do whatever. It's easy to do. So
yeah, throw
cheap,
what's that card called? Death's Presence. That's like when a creature dies, you put
Oh
plus one
yeah,
counters.
you put counters on equal to its power. Yeah,
equal to its
just
power. So okay, here's what I'm gonna do: is Eshki comes down after I play Hero's Blade, awesome already, and then I'm gonna play Phyrexian Dreadnought. Ooh, it's gonna die immediately because I sacrifice it and so it's gonna be 12 power added to Eshki.
well.
And, it
so
won't-
but the trigger, her trigger goes off before the
Right.
death trigger. But still,
Right.
the accumulation is going to be obscene.
Oh yeah,
The stonks.
you
It's
can
gonna
end
be
the game
gross.
quick.
Yup. And then my second mention is going to be Nerev, Heart of the Storm. If we find a way to give him haste, a 4 mana 4/5 with flying, sure, okay, that's pretty bare bones. That's whatever. If a creature you control that entered this turn would deal damage, it deals twice that much damage instead.
Jeez.
So hey, go to 7 power, deal 14 damage if you got haste. We're off to the races, and then the rest of your potential army of Inferno Titan and Kavu whatever creatures, like it's gonna
Flame
be
Tongue
nuts.
Kavu.
Yeah, Flame Tongue, thank you. But yeah, just love this card. It's gonna be super cool.
Bananas.
That the pre-order price is too damn high, but we already know this happens.
it
There's
Really?
no way that's gonna stay a 40 or
There's
50
no
Quinn,
card like it is.
Quinn, I am manifesting your quote. This is a $5 card. I need this
I
in
am
my
always
life.
saying this is a $5 card and regularly getting my ass beat by the
Ah,
actual price.
So wait a second, Cole. Consider we're Canadian. I'm gonna put this at $12 tops.
Okay,
is
you know
what
what?
I'm
I'll
saying.
take it. I'll take it. If I can get the one of the alt art versions for like 16, maybe about the same price, $14, I'll take it.
That's a harder sell. I think the alt art ones are gonna be harder to find.
Yeah, probably. I really want the Michael Walsh version. I just think between the two
Yeah.
of them, like I like.
Is that with the dragon wing frame?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, because like I do like the style of like the solid black bottom part of the frame with like everything else, but like that number 314, that version is pretty cool. I really like.
I gotta
it.
say, I've never really been a fan of the Tarkir frames that they did like for March of the Machine. I like the Dragon one a lot more, and I'm curious to see these blacked out versions in person because I have to imagine they look incredible in foil. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that's what I'm very curious about. Also, I was gonna get all 5 precons, but my LGS sold out within 10 minutes of the product going live.
That is not surprised. You know what? We'll talk about it in a bit once we go through the next few sections here, because again, we're in the middle of preview season. But Tarkir really, it has that pedigree.
We're so back.
It has the weight. This is magic, as a bunch
and
of
the story was great, and
it was so. What the fuck? Okay, we can't do story time with Quinn this episode. We will not have the time. We will be here for 5 fucking hours. But
why? Why is that?
Oh, no particular reason. Let's get into the rest of this.
I want to know. I can go.
We'll find out in a second here. All right.
I blocked off 5 hours for this podcast because you guys release.
Okay, great.
Episodes
Yeah, no, perfect.
Like I know how long we're likely to go. I might need to get a snack or stretch, but I booked the afternoon.
Okay, well, Dan, we're set, but
this Audacity file won't transfer.
I do need to go over the story again, especially that last part because it's so fucking nuts. Like,
Edge
what
of my
the fuck?
seat. I was holding my breath. I
was like, what?
Until...
Who and what the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Quinn. Yeah. Let's go to your vibe checks. It seems very simple and straightforward for you.
It is extremely simple and straightforward. So we're looking at Zergo Storm Render and Zergo Thunder's Decree, both of which have the new mechanic Mobilize. It says whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So we will be declaring Zergo as an attacker, no matter which Zergo you're playing. They all come down on turn 3, so it curves with the blade nicely. Zergo Storm Render is a 3/3. Zergo Thunder's Decree is a 2/4. Both of those are going to have pretty good stats when you attach the blade. Easy, so.
I like that Mobilize has a number, right? So it's like a 7, but I do wish that one of the Zergos got like a scalable Mobilize, because we do see
Mobilize X.
Yeah, we have one Mobilize or like 2 Mobilize X cards so far. Yeah. And they're both like I'm drooling. I love these. I love this kind of card.
What is it? The Avenger or whatever the heck that thing's
Avenger
called?
of the Fallen. Avenger of the Fallen. So cool. Unbelievable card. It's basically Kessig Cagebreakers but in black for 3 mana instead of 5. And to me that just means it's Kessig Cagebreakers in a color that matters. Yeah, what? You guys thought I was not going to come on here and talk about how much I don't like playing green?
Listen, no. I'm not a green mage either. We hate that shit.
It is unfortunately on the lower end of my color by priority thing.
I just don't find it interesting.
It doesn't hit anymore, We're red mages. We're fucking red mages. We're fucking here. We're here to turn creatures sideways and deal damage and do crazy shit.
Dare I say? I'm sorry. I would put myself squarely in black for Magic. That is my color. Every deck I've got. I went through my decks and ignoring precons, I currently have 2 decks out of 20 or 24 that are no black.
Mm-hmm.
So the one Selesnya deck for Michael Solani.
Nope, not even. Mm-mm.
Oh no,
it's 2 Jeskai decks.
Oh, okay. Nice. Well, there you go.
Your man is fully dedicated to the swamps.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. You know how many Urborgs I have to scribble onto a plains?
Oh
entirely
my God.
Too many, I'm sure.
I'm sure you are neck and neck with Davey F. Jones in trying to get enough Urborgs and Cabal coffers for each of those decks.
I don't go as ham on coffers as Davey does.
No, she's got the market on lock, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I found the other Mobilize card, the Mobilize X one, which is Infantry Shield. It's a 3 mana equipment in red. Equipped creature has Menace and Mobilize X, where X is its power with Equip 2. Also great with the Hero's Blade. It does come down later, but throw that on a creature with a Hero's Blade. You're gonna get Zergo especially. Don't even get now we're brutal.
It might be a Bludger playable. I don't know, but we'll find out.
Is Hero's Blade already in the precons?
I don't think so, but he was saying, waiter, more Wand of Orcus, please, and then like had the picture of the infantry shield, because it is just another Wand of Orcus.
Yeah.
And I'll take it. That's what I live for, buddy. This is the juice. That Mardu deck is... I mean, I know that my LGS sold out, but they can't be sold out forever. That Mardu deck is coming home.
Yeah, this will probably be the most batshit set in a while. Like, people will be eating this up. Not to say, obviously, we got Final Fantasy and blah, blah, blah. But, like, for Magic set, like, pure Magic, like, even my brother, I talked about this to someone recently, but even my brother texted me, and he hasn't played Magic in forever, and he was around when we were playing Tarkir, but he's like, bro, have you seen
Tarkir's back?
Have you seen Dragonstorm? I'm like, bro, who do you think you're fucking talking to?
Yeah.
He's
Bro, I have a podcast. Of course I've seen
He's like,
Dragonstorm.
did you see Draco Genesis? I'm like, yes, that was one of the very first things we saw. He's like, yeah, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, it's insane. It's awesome.
Can I hit you with a hot take on Draco Genesis? I literally, so I'm reviewing Red.
Bad card.
I'm literally going to read you what I wrote for the review, because I haven't gotten far in my review yet, but I'm reviewing Red and Mardu cards for Commander's Herald and EDH Rec. We do the set reviews together. And here's literally what I wrote for Draco Genesis. Morrow teased this card as a dragon version of a popular zombie card, and while people were quick to nail it with Rooftop Storm, but for dragons, I was holding out hope for a Necro duality for dragons, so players didn't absolutely need to Mirim Sentinel Worm in the command zone. But alas, it's a very Timmy card. It's a very splashy card. It's very fun and big and cool and fun and also big and also don't forget cool. But I kind of hate it. It just feels like, okay, Seething Song into Mana Geyser into Draco Genesis, and now here's Tiamat. Here are all the Dragon Lords I fetched with them. Draw cards, play more insanely broken dragons. It just feels like a card that will enable more solitaire moments than I'd like from a dragon deck. And it feels like I'm being a hater, and make no mistake, I totally am. But this feels like the most win more a card can get, right up there with Omniscience. Dragon decks are supposed to be hindered by the fact that these massively powerful creatures are expensive to cast.
Command zone and everything. Like, they don't care.
But that reduces by one, like they're meant to be difficult to get out and reward for that.
To its credit, I understand, like you said, you have to do 2 rituals or whatever to get to the 8 mana to cast it. But
for quick, to get there quick. But to be fair, you're playing it in green decks too, most likely.
Yeah, okay.
Like, dragon decks are all colored. Here's my problem. You get to put that effort into essentially one Bogarden Hellkite's worth of a card and then slam every dragon you have. I'm off it. Hot take, I know, but whatever. This card is actually starting to piss me off the more I think about it. Like, put it in your Dragon deck, sure. Put it in Mirim, whatever. Yeah, okay, fine. Enjoy it, but this is totally going to be one of those cards that you become known for in your play group as somebody who plays the card, gets it out quick, and then it's like...
I don't know. I guess it's like it just goes back to the Rooftop Storm in like Esper zombie decks. Like, I've seen people combo with that too. This is the thing, I guess. Like, when we get sets like this, we're going to have that typal focus, and especially with this because it's dragons. What's more exciting? We're horse squirrels for dragons, everyone. We've already established this. This is what we're here for. And them doing this at 8 mana feels appropriate, because if it was any less, it would feel more egregious. But we're all...
it can't be less. It can't be less. There's no way it could be less. But at the same time, it should be more. Like, I don't know. If it were more, it would be too close to Omniscience, and people would be like, I might as well just play Omniscience. If it were less, it would be even more busted. I get why it's priced.
Insert someone's comment here about how, Mike, you're freaking out about an 8 mana quote-unquote do-nothing card, and then watch the Flame War go off and write it. Like, I don't know.
Oh, sure. But I do think it's insulting to dragons. That's what I think.
I think it does make it a little bit too easy. I think it's like, if it was Necro Duality, then you just run into the issue of, great, it's another Mirim in the Mirim deck, and then that's the...
Or it becomes like, yo, if Mirim is in the command zone and people are done groaning at you for playing Mirim, and you want to switch it up and play a different dragon that can house what Necrogenesis would be like Necroduality, Draco Duality or whatever.
Draco Duality, sure, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if that was just a card instead of having it access to it in your command zone, that's a lot more palatable in my opinion than sitting down with a Mirim player and going, man, this ward dragon that doubles your dragons, like, I get that you think it's cool and whatever, but it does make me need to kill you sooner than everybody else at the table, and then you're going to complain about me targeting you. Dracogenesis isn't like a fundamentally busted card. It can be if you get it out super early. That's
just in
what
the
I'm saying.
in the vacuum of dragon decks, then yeah.
The way I see it is like you're playing Magic the Gathering, and dragons are these gigantic, imposing figures in the game. They are huge. They're super expensive, and then they're explosive and stuff. And so to me, hey, I'm going to play this dragon. I'm going to have to get to turn 5 with ramp to get down Udvara Helpkite. And it's going to be worth it because now I get so much value from my other dragons that I'm going to continue playing. But, like, how imposing is that to be like, check this out. I got this down. Versus Dracogenesis. I held on to 4 other dragons that I couldn't cast until, hey, now I can cast this one enchantment that plays 4 at once. All right. It's like a super Jessica's Will for a dragon deck.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to its one credit is like we're now in the enchantment removal has gotten more plentiful. So like someone's like, I cast a dragon, you're like, cool, on the stack, I'm gonna blow up your Dracogenesis, and then like there you go. You got your quote unquote value, you paid 8 mana for that. You know, it's again we're talking about hypothetical scenarios, and like I definitely see your point. It's just until I actually see someone attempt to use this against me in that way, and I'm gonna shake my head, being like, I'm immediately thinking about Brandon Quinn. Just fucking Brandon's like, oh, my 5-color. I'm just playing Dragon. I'm like, Brandon, you're never just playing a 5-color deck, okay? And now you're playing.
Play the fucking Academy Rector and just fucking sit on that from like turn 3 or whatever.
Oh,
it comes down, and then you'll never be able to
move.
attack into him because if that thing dies, and it will eventually because he's gonna find like Skull Clamp or some shit.
Some bullshit,
then you have to deal with Dracogenesis.
Yep.
So yeah, people who will definitely want to abuse the ever-loving shit out of this card will abuse it to high hell, and there's nothing we can really do about it except complain and or blow it up, and that's what we're gonna have to try
that's
to do.
That's it. But for me, like, that's not the kind of game I like to play, and it's not the kind of people that I tend to play with. The kind of people I tend to play with are kind of like off this. They want like weird, janky stuff to tinker with. So that's fine by me. I'm not going to come across this a lot. I just think flavorfully, this card pisses me off. Like it makes everything seem so small. That's the thing. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me.
Fair enough.
I talked about this.
A lot else about Tarkir though.
The best.
Else about Tarkir. So cool.
This set has been so sick.
I'm surprised how they've managed. As we'll now be getting into comments here in a second here, but I'm surprised how they've managed to take 10 plus years of history of waiting to go back to this plane and having 3 different sets and having other versions of like Alesha come out even beforehand and be like, what are we doing? What's going to be next? And now we're here, you know? It's going to be pretty exciting.
It's fantastic. I love seeing drawbacks on cards again. Like Teval, Arbiter of Virtue has a drawback.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I live for it. Spells you cast have Delve, awesome. So sick. If that's the end of the card, busted. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. Now, hold on a second. I got to think carefully about this. Ooh la la. This is fun for me.
Very cool.
I live.
There's also that enchantment that makes your creatures cost 3 less, but whenever they enter the battlefield, they
die.
Destroyed. And
The
you make a
Sip
zombie
6
token.
ceremony.
Heartless summoning.
How are you going to dance around that? That looks fun.
It's so sick. You just play a bunch of indestructible creatures and you get a zombie with them. Or you play the Kamigawa dragons and get that friggin' trigger immediately.
Or you can just play exclusively from your graveyard and never actually cast things from your hand. That's interesting too.
yeah.
Fucking go, baby. You know? Live.
Everyone's-
Very cool card.
Everyone is in the lab trying to figure this shit out. Like,
That's
how
what
can
I'm talking about. The fun of the set. There's so much going on. This set, it fucking rules.
Yeah, like, yeah, we're halfway through. We're gonna see what the rest of it looks like. But I'm
We're not even
blown
there.
away so far.
We haven't even got the whole siege cycle yet. Like,
Give me my Boros Siege! I need it for
Has
me.
a reasons fucking mind for that.
If it doesn't give keywords, I'm gonna be beyond disappointed. But anyway, okay, let's get into comments because we've got something else to do after this really quick. But all right, from episode 11, the one where we did the Thunder Junction and the Bolcast theme, we got Uncharismatic Bard. Which, by the way, Bard, you've been great at this. Listening to all these episodes in like completely archaic order, which I'm loving this. So anyway, the opening bit busted me up on this one. Good episode, great, love that. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah, fam. Thank you.
Got him again in the following episode, the one we had with Laura. Great episode. So much Fallout love Fallout cards. They're really cool.
yo, so sick.
Strongback is my fave card. From the Biz, I think. I don't know.
Sure.
Also love the double cast Wheel of Misfortune. Yeah, that game was so cracked. I think my pod's record is 4 or 5 times in one game. That's crazy. Casting that many times and having people be like, how much life can I pay to have this Wheel of Misfortune go off for me, you know?
4 to 5 times casting a Wheel of Misfortune in one game is bananas. Yeah, definitely
That's a
keep track
lot.
of damage. I would like to know.
I love that. Episode 15, where we had with Trenton, Bard again. My bestie built a plane chase cube, and it is fucking fun to draft.
Let's
That's
go.
gotta be.
Plane Chase
Let's go.
Cube? That sounds
Let's
wild.
go.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have that cycle that they got out the last time they did plane chase with like Will of the Planeswalker.
Oh yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
Path of the Pyromancers, the red one. I don't remember what
Yeah.
the rest of the cycle was.
Yeah,
but that
I
was
only
very
think
cool.
about the red one, to be honest.
yeah, the
Listen,
other ones
it makes
are
mana.
the other ones are largely forgettable, but I remember the black one being a reanimation spell tacked on, so that's pretty tight.
Quinn, you got the rest of these comments?
Yeah, episode 35, we've got Bard again with fun episode. Love the reskin of McEDH. We'll give that a try next time the group is big enough. Smoking Mitts was great. Gonna go read all of the Assassin's Creed set. Yeah, and we actually got them in the Discord saying that they did their homework. They read all of the Assassin's Creed set. There's a lot of cool cards in there. Thank you so much for your efforts.
Yeah.
We've got another comment here from Nick who says Mask Depletion Land mentioned.
Yes.
These lands are nearly a Soul Ring and land reanimator lists like Aranis, Gloomstalker, Forever.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Those I was like I felt like Thanos. I'm like I finally have all of them for this really specific deck, and just always on the edge of my brain of like how can I abuse these? And as it turns out, when you do have like green land return effects, it's like yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, I remember these from when I was coming up and like just learning Magic still, because it was like I started in 7th edition Masks block essentially, and so I had Hickory Woodlots and Peat Bogs in my like first deck, and I like out of nostalgia had Saprozen Scary in my mono blue mill deck, and like I didn't really find a way to recur it or anything. I just liked the card.
Yeah.
But I think these lands are pretty sick, especially in like a deck that you can like, amulet decks probably are a great spot for these. Like
Just to get that 2 mana off the go, like
Yeah.
for sure.
I know a guy who plays Suppress Scary in a Malcolm Pirates deck, and just being able to get Malcolm out a turn early and then start farming him for treasure and not relying on lands as much anymore, it's
Yeah.
pretty strong.
It does the
Pretty dope.
work.
those
We
lands
got
are awesome.
questioning Feldogriff next, who commented, McEDH sounds fun. I'm excited to see more sub-podcasts within the podcast. Thank you.
I'll never get over Mick EDH. My friends are so fucking funny when it comes to this stuff, and I was like,
They
what
really
way to
are.
reskin a somewhat problematic premise, which like the format itself, like giving all these characters and roles like these nuances, but putting like some real life subtext stuff. It's like, Let's get Mayor fucking McCheese in as the
That's a lot
mayor
better.
and just fucking go to town. I'll have to send you a photo of these things, Mike. They're
I
fucking.
need it.
They're
Send it
so.
over.
Right.
They're so funny. All right, and then finally, Lenny.
Lenny Woolley says, I'm hereby renewing my blood feud with Benoit for guesting on this cast twice before I did.
Wow.
Cole says well about that, but before we get there, shout out to Lenny. I got to go to the hashtag Commander Slumber Party at his place over the last weekend. We posted in a Discord that we were in, that we were at spell table user looking for 0, and then posted the picture of
What a
us.
dickhead! What a dickhead fucking tag. Okay, Mike, I'm gonna
Such
set
a
the
dick
tone.
move.
Mike, I'm gonna set the tone for you, right? So we Quinn and I are hosts over at MTG Lexicon, and we have a dedicated host chat where we're like, hey guys, so like Wednesday, the beacon's going out on Wednesday at noon. Who's gonna be hosting this week? Who's free, right? And Quinn says nothing. Not a hint, no emoji, nothing, right? And I'm like, okay, is something going on? Like, Quinn usually does something, right? Like, Purple Heart, 100%, whatever, right? Lenny's saying nothing, and sometimes Lenny just isn't free, so I'm willing to accept that, right? And then I see in the Legendary Creature Discord, a little one pops up in a tag, and I go, okay, looking for a game, let me just turn off this notification, and then I look and I see looking for 0, and I see the group of like Lenny and Quinn. I'm like, what the fuck? And I immediately run back and start on my keyboard like, hey, so anyway, Quinn and Lenny are hanging us up, leaving us out to dry.
Yeah,
Like,
Lenny
what?
in the host chat was like, I'm hosting company this weekend, so I'm out. And then several days later, I respond with a picture of us together. I'm company.
I'm company, yeah. Just like, what the fuck? I was like, this is criminal behavior. But you know, it's your business. So who gives a shit? But yeah, we were having a. They looked like they were having a blast. So who cares?
Yeah, shout out to you, Lenny. That was a lovely time. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Lenny in general. He's always the best. I love Lenny.
Yeah, he's the
love
fucking
Rusty.
dude. That's the homie.
Any chance I get to see those guys, I'm happy about it. Just lots of love. Lots of love for you boys.
All right, Mike, I'm going to need you to stand back. I'm going to need you to stand back out of the way. I got to send Quinn to the Smoking Mids dimension with Benoit for the next 15 minutes, give or take.
I'm saluting. We'll be RB.
Hey, we're back in the Smoking Mids dimension, doing it again with Empress Quinn and Benoit. Let's check in with them, see what they got to talk about this week.
You smoke good, Quinn?
Fuck.
You
Your Honor, I consider bids.
we'll try that again next episode, and eventually we'll get to the part where you just have to say yes to start. Gamers, welcome to Smoking Mids, the show where we smoke mids. Don't be afraid of Mana Value 5. Read the dang set. Did you do your homework? Did you read New Capenna Commander? Did you read Aftermath? I'm so proud of you. Thank you for doing that for us. We're going to spend a little bit more time today, I think, going over Aftermath. I don't know, Quinn.
Yeah, that
do you
sounds
have...
good.
Tell me something. Tell me something. In Aftermath, maybe. Maybe not. I want to know, a decent to strong 6 card that you have just really been delighted by.
Gosh. Okay. I saw this mono red Eldrazi deck on online one time.
Okay.
Yes. Stay with me here, gamers. So
We're holding on.
So their commanders Plarg and Nasari. They're a 5-mana, 5/4 legendary creature or Ifrit, and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. An opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way. You may cast up to 2 spells from among the other cards exile this way without paying their mana costs. So their deck is just...
Free spells good. More at 11.
That is indeed what was going on here. They're either like free casting Eldrazi or they're free casting ramp spells to cast their Eldrazi. I had to fucking respect it though. The gamer was mono red. Like at least they weren't Aslask or Ulalek all on us. Like,
I don't know. That sounds pretty loud. I'd like to, I gotta sit down for a little bit. I can't really stand up straight. I'd like to talk to you about, like, a mid that we can, like, chill out a little bit with.
Alright, give me those mids.
I'm gonna hit you with this. She's 2 and a blue. She's a shapeshifter.
Okay.
She's a flying 2/4. And she's a future sight.
Ayo.
Vesuvian Drifter
Oh,
from
this
March of the
card's
Machine Aftermath.
cool.
Flying. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. That's cool. It's a flying 2/4 reality chip. Where's the sauce? Where's the sauce? Just because we're, like, smoking mids does not mean we're not, like, we're, like, fucking designer mids.
Yeah, it still smells and tastes great.
Yeah, at the beginning of each combat, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, Vesuvian Drifter becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, except it has flying. Now, gamers, I know some of you out there are nasty criminals, and I know some of you out there have been just terrorizing pods left and right, so you know who Yuriko is. And you know what Yuriko's about. You know that it's like, oh, here's the sneaky 1/1. Oh, but before damage, I'm gonna cast Brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, it's 15 mana. Like Vesuvian Drifter is just like Yuriko's, like, cooler, I guess, younger sister. Like, this is just a little bit more demanding than Yuriko is. And it's obviously not a legendary creature, but, like, all of the Yuriko crimes, you can just do cooler and flying with Vesuvian Drifter.
Damn, that's so real. You can put Draco on top of your library and have Vesuvian Drifter just to be Draco instead of burning people with the mana value.
You could have Vesuvian Shapeshifter, or you could have a Vesuvian Drifter just be Draco. I mean, God forbid I birth any more Yuriko decks into the world. You could have Vesuvian Drifter be Draco, attack someone with a Draco, and also with a ninja, revealing Draco and doing another Draco damage.
Shit, son.
That's 24 beats. But, like, there's, like, weird scroll rack shit. There's obviously, like, the Brainstorm shit. There's so many cool ways, and, like, you get the attack trigger with this. Like, this is a build around that I am completely okay getting blown up by.
I would like to see this in the wild. You should, like, get this in a deck, Benoit, and then, like, let's see how this works out in the wild.
Listen, as you may know, I have a current obsession, and it is not with the creature type.
Understandable.
Except I do have an obsession with the creature type. I want to talk to you about a bizarre card. I don't even know if it counts as a mid.
Okay.
But I think it's being 100% slept on.
All right.
It is from... what is this set symbol? It is from Scourge. 2 and a blue, and it's an enchantment. It's called Faces of the Past.
Oh, I think I've heard this name.
Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, tap or untap all creatures that share a creature type with it. This led me down, like, one of my Zur rabbit holes. So, like, for people who don't know...
explain yourself.
For people who don't know, I play Zur the Enchanter, except I'm a real hipster about it. I refuse to just play Zur the Enchanter. I gotta play, like, my special brew Zur the Enchanter. I love building Zur like it's a 3-mana enchantment is my commander. And part of that was like there were some that were like really obvious, and I was like, how can I make like this really obvious answer something that like fulfills my stupid hipsterdom? Arcane adaptation. We all know what arcane adaptation is, I assume. 2 blue, also an enchantment. It hacks all of the creatures to a chosen creature type. And I was like, what is the sauce with arcane adaptation? Like, what creature type makes arcane adaptation like an interesting include for Xur? And then I saw Faces of the Past, and I was like, what creature type has interesting tap abilities that also maybe can key into a little bit of an aristocrat strategy so that you get the opportunity to tap these things multiple times? Slivers.
I'm sorry, what?
Slivers have these abilities. You know what Esper Slivers are terrible at? Being really, really big. But you know what Esper Slivers are good at?
Oh, what?
All Sliver creatures have tap. This creature deals 2 damage to any target and 3 damage to itself.
That is not great. However, if
You'd
your
think.
toughness is high enough, I think you're fine.
Or Faces of the Past is out, and every time one of these slivers kills themselves, I untap the rest of them.
Okay. So you just machine gun down people with your board state, and then your board state's all dead. And then what's your plan from there?
Well, the plan is twofold. One, some of the board state is dead.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Do you know what's another 3 mana enchantment that you can tutor with Xur the Enchanter?
What?
Etchings of the Chosen.
Is that... Oh, shit.
Like, you're making the slivers you care about indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you kill a sliver you don't care about, you untap all of them, including the now indestructible ones that you do care about.
Mm-hmm.
You do that again.
Okay, and once they're indestructible, then you can do this with impunity.
Yeah, and of course you're asking, like, where the hell are you getting all of these slivers with which you can throw away with impunity?
I think there's a sliver with an ability that makes more slivers.
The beauty of something that Esper is not particularly good at is making slivers, but something that Esper is particularly good at is making token creatures.
Oh.
I want to talk about another of my favorite enchantments, and please, I'll give you an extended segment after this. I really just got to nerd out about like the new dumb stupid Xur shit I'm doing.
Okay.
Battle for Baldur's Gate, one of the all-timers for me. If you don't fuck with Battle for Baldur's Gate, I don't fuck with you. If Battle for Baldur's Gate has no like defenders, it is because I'm dead. Feywild Visitor.
Oh, that is my dude. I
Esper.
love this guy.
Esper is incredible at making token creatures.
Uh-huh.
Commander creatures you own have, whenever one or more non-token creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you create a 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature token with flying. It's a sliver, baby. We have an army of tokens. I've got Adeline to make slivers. I got Feywild Visitor to make slivers. Like, I got Endric Sar Master Breeder to make slivers. They're all slivers with Arcane Adaptation. I'll kill them all day. I don't care. I'll kill them all day.
Okay. I'm extremely on board.
Nobody except
Oh, man.
our loyal podcast listeners will be ready for Esper Slivers. But Quinn, please.
You were
Tell me about some myths.
Wildin'. I extremely want to see this, though. Goodness. What's some good myth that I've been smoking lately? Okay, everybody says this card is awful, but then I cast it and it like does what I need it to do. And that is the homie Brutal Cathar from the Midnight Hunt set for 2 and a white. This human soldier werewolf, when it enters the battlefield or transforms into Brutal Cathar, you exile up to one, or exile target creature an opponent controls until this creature leaves the battlefield. And then on the back half, it is Moonrage Brute, who has first strike and ward pay 3 life. This does introduce the mechanic of day and night into a game, which is perhaps the complaint. However, it's a fucking O-ring that's also a giant dude in the right condition, and first strike is pretty fucking sweet. It holds knives fine. Like, I've been pretty satisfied with this guy's performance.
This is just a perfect encapsulation of it does what it needs to do. It's a little bit techy. Incredible mids. And gamers, stop being afraid of day and night. Death is coming for all of us. The advancement of time is inevitable. You can hopefully you can remember important birthdays. You can remember, your first kiss. You can remember if it's day or night.
100%. Okay, so another good mid that I'm smoking lately is Dreadwing Scavenger. This guy's from Foundations. It is a flying nightmare bird for 1, a blue, and a black. And whenever it enters or attacks, you draw a card and then discard a card. And at threshold, this guy gets +1/+1 and has death touch as long as there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard. I don't know, dude. It just fucking it's a solid ass role player. ETB, draw a card, attack, draw a card. Like, I love Titan templating, and this guy eventually gets death touch, which is like fine. A cruise vehicle's alright. Like, solid role player. I like you, Dreadwing Scavenger. Thanks.
Like, blue-black, especially in terms of, creature power, is like an inverted pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And, the freaking bottom of that pyramid, the thing holding that entire pyramid up, is a 1/1 artifact owl with death touch and flying.
Fuck, you're so real.
That draws a card ETB.
Baleful Strix is the hero.
If Baleful Strix can hold up an entire color identity, on its feathery back, Dreadwing Scavenger, a bigger Baleful Strix, with not a card advantage trigger, but an incredible card selection trigger, that's gotta be good enough. That's gotta be good enough.
I feel so validated, thank you. Because this guy's just it's literally just fine.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I got one more guy. This is a pirate, so shout out to you, the pirate enthusiast. It's my guy, Stormfleet Negotiator.
Yes!
2/3.
Yes!
Flying. Yeah, dude. Creature Siren Pirate, and whenever this creature attacks, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you create a map token. Then each player draws a card. And the maps are artifacts with 1 tap, sacrifice this token, target creature you control explores, activate only as a sorcery.
I love Stormfleet Negotiator. I'm all 100% on board. You're it's a pirate. I was I love pirate. I run Stormfleet Negotiator. This card rips.
I think this guy's pretty good. The map tokens are a little bit annoying to actually have to do the thing with, but it's just it's fucking eating your vegetables. You can draw your next land drop. You can set up your top deck for reanimation, nefarious activities. You can use those to run up your artifact count for things like Nettle Cyst. You can use them to trigger Reckless Fireweaver. If you're an extremely naughty gamer, you can sacrifice them to KCI. Like, there's all sorts of utility that you can actually get out of these guys, and he draws a card. And you can curry favor with the table, because, like, people are pretty willing to take 2 damage if it means they can have a card. So you can pretty reliably get in with this guy. And even if the thing that you're doing is not, like, attacking with him, 2/2 body with flying is pretty cool. I use it to crew vehicles every now and again, but this guy on a Mind Link mech, so that the Mind Link mech becomes a 4/3 copy of this, that feels pretty good. I'm into that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nobody kills Stormfleet Negotiator. Ever. Like, the thing, Parlay is a vibe check. As a
Parlay
mechanic.
is a vibe check, you're so right.
Like, if someone's like, I hate Parlay because it gives my opponents resources, and I hate it when my opponents have resources, it's like, there is a natural conclusion to that line of thinking, and it's Tiny Bones, and I'm sorry, Tiny Bones does not pass the vibe check. Like, your opponent's gonna get cards, one way or the other. But if you are willing to, like, give your opponents things at the same time that you get resources, like, the game is just gonna get more. You're just gonna turn the game's volume up.
That's why I like to play Ludovic Necker Alchemist so much, because it does kind of the same thing. You just inject a tiny bit more card advantage into everybody's gameplay. And Ludovic in particular is good because it encourages advancing the game state meaningfully via the reduction of life totals, especially in a direction that is not me. So all of that is extending my time and, like, survivability in the game, as well as Ludovic's 4 toughness ass. I get to just, like, be a scheming mastermind a little bit and just, like, watch everybody deal damage to each other and draw cards. It feels very good.
And gamers, because I know some of you listening are rude and you're nasty and you're evil. If you're looking at Stormfleet Negotiator and you're like, this isn't rude, nasty, and evil enough for me, don't forget, you can always add Junkwinder to your blue deck.
Oh, fuck. You can.
All else fails, you 100% can weaponize artifact tokens entering the battlefield. There are so many ways to do it. If the idea of giving your opponents anything ever makes you want to pull your teeth out, you should still play Stormfleet Negotiator.
Oh, what if you attack with Stormfleet Negotiator and you make 4 map tokens and then you trigger Altar of the Brood 4 times and also have them draw a card and you're just, like, shredding their libraries 5 at a time?
Like, you make 4 map tokens, your Kappa Cannoneer is unblockable and gigantic.
Shit, dude, that feels pretty good. Is Kappa Cannoneer still 50 bajillion bucks on MTGO?
I could not tell you about MTGO, but I know that Kappa Cannoneer is not $100 bajillion in paper.
All right, well, that's encouraging. I think I can get my hands on a copy of that. If I don't already have one, further research required.
Quinn, those were some incredible mids. We are reaching the twilight of our episode. Do you have any closing thoughts?
What is best in this game is probably related to combat or touching cards, so anything that's going to let me do either of those things feels pretty good. I feel pretty happy with our selections here today.
Remember, gamers, what is best in life? Creatures and touching cards. Getting in for damage and drawing some grubby pieces of cardboard. Until next time, read another set.
Hell yeah, dudes.
Cast a 7-mana sorcery. Feel alive.
And this time that we have is so fleeting. Casters have a
Until next time.
Later, gamers.
smoking mids, do your homework, listen to Benoit try to establish a bit, fail at it dramatically, realize he still messed it up again, and we'll come back at you next episode with his actual initial intention.
He's doing great, sweetie. It's time for the fucking content and news section.
Yeah, so anyway, I think we kind of did the Dragonstorm thing, but
A little
yeah.
bit. We didn't
Dragonstorm
dive
previous
into
hype,
all
yeah.
of it. We talked a
No.
little bit, mostly about Dracogenesis.
Yes. So let's start off here. In retrospect, being a Teamer player is redeeming in some ways, but that's because I was a filthy Simic player around like when Return to Ravnica and Theros came out, because Theros had Prophet of Krufix, where you just untap
Ew.
everything and could cast your creature spells as if they had flash. You're just like, I love this card. We're banning that.
I mean,
Fuck.
that makes sense.
Yeah, dude, that's 3 extra turns in a trench coat. Fuck all the way off.
Yeah, but Quinn, I love casting spells on other people's turns.
You can do that and pay for your spells. How's that sound?
Okay, fine. I'll, so yeah, but I am once again having it reestablished that I love being a Mardu player with this set.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Just-
dude.
Everything about it
The
so far so
purity of
good.
combat. That's all that matters. Turning
get-
all of your guys sideways.
Do you feel like doing a ranking of like a ranking of the 5 clans in your order? Like, do you want to do that real quick? Because I've got
Oh
mine.
yeah,
locked and
hell yeah,
loaded.
dude.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Mardu
Okay.
at the top. Period. In undisputable peak energy, the aura off the charts. It's Mardu.
That's where I'm at too. It's easy.
Great. Teamer second place. That's just nostalgia, probably. But I just like the fact that it has red in it, and I'm like, great, we can work with that. Probably Sultai, and then Jeskai, and then Abzan in that order.
Wow.
Just
Wow.
Jeskai and Abzan have to be at the bottom of the list. I just can't work with them. It doesn't work for my brain.
Interesting. Quinn, what about you? Where are you at on this ranking?
One of my earliest decks actually was Elsha of the Infinite, and I do still have an appreciation for the color combination of Jeskai, but the play patterns that I have, I guess, thought to build and then don't actually build because they aren't very social. The color encourages criminal activity in a way that I don't feel comfortable doing to my friends. So I don't play a whole lot of that anymore.
Wow.
So I think my favorite color of this now is going to be Mardu for sure. I am fully devoted to the Church of turning all of my creatures sideways. And they do that the fucking best. I'm also a huge slut for Abzan mid-range, though. So I think the Indatha or the Abzan, that's going to be second place for me. After that, I just really love a ferocious creature, and nobody does that the way that Teamer does that. So we got to put them next. After
I was
that
going
is
to put
gonna
you
be
on blast, but
Jeskai.
then you redeemed yourself.
And then Sultai at the bottom. I don't know, dude. It hasn't clicked yet, except for Felix 5 Boots, and that is, I don't know. It doesn't fucking feel like a Sultai card.
Well, that's
No, that one does
That's
not.
a red
that one
card
does
to
not
me.
for sure.
all
I
right,
am.
Mike, hit us with it.
Check this out. Obviously, Mardu off the top. Let's not even pretend. Mardu number 1 across the
Marty
board.
fucking sweep.
Yeah,
It's so sick with the dab. Mardu number 1, and in this set, Sultai. Sultai, I also don't really enjoy Sultai that much. It's green, and it's not my favorite. But usually it lends itself to like more controlling play patterns, and that's not like my thing. But I have been enjoying my the Master Transcendent deck that I built, because I told myself I need to build one green deck of like from this year, just so I could feel like if I'm gonna hate on a color, I should at least be able to leverage it right and figure it out. But The deck's been a lot of fun, and it's really cool. And it's also super green because the master turns the creatures he reanimates into green mutants.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff that supports that deck in this set. And I don't really care for +1/+1 counters, which is why Abzan isn't my second this time around. Because Abzan is the reanimation colors, and I love reanimation. But they're just focusing too much on the +1/+1 counters, putting them at 3. So we got Mardu, Sultai, Abzan. Give me Jeskai on 4. Not really my thing, but definitely interesting design-wise. Like Flamehold Grappler is so sick.
What a
Definitely
neat
Card
card.
is so sick.
That just
so
if you
sick.
cast a spell, you just copy it. Doesn't matter.
Any
Go
kind of
for it.
spell. Any spell, and it's on ETB. So what you could do is like Flamehold Grappler. Oh, just a 3/3 first strike for 3. No big deal. ETB, copy the next spell you cast this turn. Hey, I have a bunch of mana, and I'm going to use Eldrazi Displacer 3-4 times. And then I'm also going to cast like one thing, and it's going to be copied 3-4 times. That's awesome. Everybody's happy about
What is
it.
this fucking honest magic bullshit? Obviously, you're using Displacer Kitten.
Well,
Oh
I mean,
my god.
So that you
But
blink
that
the
requires
guy,
you
and then
to
you cast
cast
your
things.
next spell and fork it, and then blink your guy.
nonstop.
In
just
this
really like it. It's
hypothetical
cool.
Magic Christmas Land scenario, you have a billion mana. Go nuts.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
do
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It's very fun, and I'm into it. But what I am not into is Teamer, like at all. I don't care. Ureni is sweet. Ureni is a very interesting looking card. It like leverages your lands and stuff, and that's cool. But like every time I see a Teamer card, I'm either like, ugh, that seems too busted, or it's like, it's boring. I am bored by Teamer.
I was shocked by both versions of Ureni, the Teamer Spirit Dragon. The fact that the main set one has the first line of text
I know,
from
I know.
Animar Soul of Elements,
I know.
where I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Okay,
Yeah,
to its
dude.
credit, it is an 8 mana 10/10 flying dragon. Like, I get it, right?
If that thing lands, you're fucking dying. I'm
Like,
punching
why-
you in the face for lethal this turn with Embercleave.
And of course, to Light's credit, I would expect nothing less from her making the most heinous. I just don't. It's just not my thing. Like,
No,
I
not
don't-
mine either.
It's so
Look-
pushed. Ireni to me is so pushed right now. Like, that is
So
an
sick.
obscene magic card.
I mean, the
And-
commander deck one is also bananas. Like it enters or attacks. You look at the top 8, and then you put a dragon. From
Just put a
your-
dragon to play, because
Yeah.
who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't
Costs
need
Costs one
against
less mana than
Dracogenesis.
Dracogenesis.
I guess in terms of the sliding scale of war crimes Teamer dragons or 5-color dragons can commit, that version of Ireni is not the worst one, but like
Right.
it's still pretty egregious. So just put a dragon into play. Who gives a shit? Who cares?
It
You
is.
know, it's-
well, obviously, you play Miram in the 99.
Or you play Miram in the command zone and slam your Rennie, and you get yourself 4 dragons off of it.
Fuck,
Oh.
no.
Why did they do that? Why did I love Battle for Baldur's Gate. I love Commander Legends.
So good.
but what the fuck was that?
Miram was a fucked up mistake.
They're like, all right,
Mir-
Teamer is going to be dragons. You're like, cool. Dragons in D&D, Dragonborn, love all that. Love all those cards. We got Thrakis and all that other stuff. Like, love that. They're like, let's do the capstone fucking Teamer dragon. And you're just like, if you draft this...
In the context of that set, it is just a sweet card. All of those
Yeah.
other dragons are extremely mid, but it's
In a
just like
vacuum,
she
in a
elevates them.
I love-
Outside
okay,
of
speaking-
that,
going
with
back
the
to Lenny
access
for
to
a
the rest of the formats, fuck, dude.
Going back to
I
Lenny
will
for a second.
say, but before we do, I
Yeah.
think the cooler design from Baldur's Gate for dragons, Lausanne, Dragon's Legacy.
Yeah,
Yes.
so cool. Love that
Huge
card.
So
fan
much
of
cooler.
Lausanne.
So
Yeah.
much cooler. Just an incredible card. An adventure spell, dragon spell. Okay, now you get to bolt. Like your commanders are likely Lausanne, right? So if you're playing it, you get to ping something for 5 or hit
Yeah, as long
somebody
as it's not a
for
commander,
5.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But
Unbelievable.
Lenny made that article of Power Sync where it was Miram, but like an artisan, quote unquote artisan deck, but also mostly focused on all the dragons specifically from Battle for Baldur's Gate. So it was an affordable deck, and all of those dragons are pretty mid. So, like, you have, if anything, a very fair, if somewhat could be powerful in a vacuum dragon deck. And, like, a lot of the dragons in that set, including Lozan, were, like, they're fine. They're fine. I could totally work with that. You're playing with adventures, also fun and great. Perfect. It all meshes together as intended.
And that's why it's cool, but you be careful now, friggin', what's the name? Miram? I can't do it.
All right. So besides, you know, but like, yeah, I do find it great. I'm glad. Okay, Mardu's supremacy, great, fantastic. We've established this. We're all pretty across the board when it comes to where everything else fits.
And then nothing else matches.
I'll put Teamer at 2. I'll put Teamer dead last. Like, yeah, you know, this is how it works. You factor in color combinations. You factor in what the cards are trying to do this set. And, like, you know, the Abzan doing +1 counters, that felt like something they were doing already. Is the fact, I don't know, as least it's not Outlast, thank God. Like,
right,
you know, they learned their lesson. They changed things up. They made them feel fresh. And they still manage to keep their identity, and they're not as clunky as some of the other effects. Like, Mobilize is an awesome mechanic for Mardu.
So sick. I am a big fan of Mobilize.
The tokens get sacrificed. What the fuck?
I know. I'll say I do really like so the Abzan commanders that we got from the commander decks, very different style commanders. Like, you've got basically Doran Siege Tower 2.0 with Felothar, which isn't really calling to me, but that sacrifice ability is pretty fun. And then Baydor, Ancestor's Voice, is just, I've been brewing Baydor, and it's a lot of fun. I think Wizards accidentally leaked the other Felothar in the set, and I'm not going to talk about it, but they are focusing on +1/+1 counters pretty extensively. Like, it is a lot more counters based. And then you've even got, like, the Mardu guy from Final Fantasy, Celeste, that whenever a creature enters from a graveyard, put +1/+1 counters on all your creatures. Do you know why people don't play Cathar's Crusade? People don't play Cathar's Crusade because of the accounting.
I don't know. I guess I honestly think that one of the biggest egregious ways that Cathar's Crusade indicates to people that you want to play a bunch of creatures, and the way to put a bunch of creatures into play is to play tokens, and then you have the logistical issue of bringing how many infinite tokens can I bring with me on top of how many dice can I bring with me.
I know.
And the real answer is you gotta choose one, or just don't play both at the same time. I'll play a Cathar's. I need to actually get that Cathar's Crusade.
This is why we play the Starlight Spectacular.
I need to get another one of those, to be honest. That card is freaking... The one card I will give Unfinity credit for is being a cool
Starlight
alternative.
Spectacular. Yeah,
Starlight
that's fair.
Spectacular.
I'm going to stop you right there and remind you about Saw in Half.
Why?
Cole doesn't respect Saw in Half because that's a card for
upon this
sinners.
card. Get it out of my face. I hate that thing.
Listen, I respect a good Saw in Half. I love to Saw in Half a Hoarding Broodlord.
Had to think about that for a second. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
about
I see you.
I make 2 dragons. I'm tutoring.
still
I'll
need
Saw
to
in
find
Half
a
a
place for
fucking
that
Scholar
card.
of the Ages or whatever. I'll put the Saw in Half back in my hand. I'll get 2 more spells. It'll feel really good for me.
Big fan of a Saw in Half. Big fan of Come Back Wrong.
Back on track
I
for
haven't played
Tarkir.
that one yet. Okay, yeah, back on Tarkir.
The new hybrid siege cycles, awesome. Love seeing that. It's
So
a great
sick.
way to blend everything. Like, because them only doing one magic set every few months, not factoring in all the Universes Beyond stuff, but like the fact that it's like we don't have blocks anymore, which means they have to try to work to see how they can blend everything together coherently. The sieges are great. All of the clans having a 3-color enchantment that heavily like shows what they are about, and like the immediate thing I can think of is All Out Assault for Mardu. It's
God, yes.
They have Death Touch. They have +1/+1. You get if it enters, you get an extra combat phase, and it's like, and you're like, okay, cool. This feels like a 5-mana
main
card.
phase.
It's an anthem. They get Death Touch. Go
It makes
fucking
all of
nuts.
your shitty little creature tokens so much more effective because they just, like, you're not going to block
going
my
to
1/1
die,
with Death
so-
Touch. Just take one.
Yeah. So, yeah, just everything about this. Like, this is probably the one time in a long time that I'm actually going to be like, I'm going to go to a pre-release because.
Oh,
nice.
I've been doing this
Oh, yeah,
thing
dude.
where a couple of my friends still love playing Magic and going to a pre-release, but they don't buy cards or collect cards anymore. And like one guy's just straight up like, I'm proxying my decks completely. If I ever make a deck, I'm just putting in an order, and then, you know, he rarely plays, so it's like, okay, I get why you're tapping out and you don't want to spend a bunch of money on cards that won't mean anything or like updating or whatever. But like pre-release rolls around, I'll be like, okay, I'll buy you guys in, I'll keep the cards, we make a day of it.
Yeah.
This time around, I think I got 3 of
Hell
them
yeah.
coming, so I'm gonna be spending money. But
Oh, yeah.
I think
But
that that's a great way to ensure that you can still have that, like, limited gameplay experience and
What-
see all the
Exactly.
new cards.
What
and
I
all of
want to
that.
do, and
so much
something
fun.
that I did on occasion, some friends of mine, Phil, Bryant, and Josh down in Texas, we all bought a pre-release kit a few years ago, and I can't remember. I think it was for we did a pre-release kit for Strixhaven. And we all choose a school, and we all made a deck over Spell Table and had
Oh, nice.
probably shouldn't have done it, but we did a 4-player game because we're like, we still want to
Yeah,
have
Fuck
like
it,
the
that's
multiplayer
fine.
aspect.
That's
We're all
old
doing this
school
at the
kitchen
same time.
table magic, dude. Hell yeah.
And,
Fun
and
as
just
hell.
and jam it out. And like we're in that era now. It's like, look, spend your $40 or however much it is for a pre-release kit,
Pre-release.
and bring it home, or ask your friends, hey, like, I'm gonna buy a pre-release kit today, but like the next time we meet up, like let's have a
Let's jam some
impromptu-
sealed. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, and
I love that.
It's such a good time, and right now, especially with these seeded themed kits, like,
So are they
I-
gonna have a seeded pack like we had in Strixhaven?
I feel like it should be. Like, if it's anything
Okay.
like it used to be, I need to look it up to be sure. But I'm like,
I
I'd
mean,
be
that'd
shocked
be
if
pretty
it wasn't.
sick.
I
That'd be pretty
think
sick.
they mentioned that, but I don't remember exactly. So I would
Google-
look further into
Google
that
help
because
us.
it does seem likely.
Yeah.
I think they did that the last time around on Tarkir.
They did it on and Strixhaven, which I was like, okay, work. But like, I don't think we've had that since. And
Yeah, hold on. Here we go.
we didn't even do it at Ikoria.
5 clan-themed pre-release packs that include a seeded booster pack specific
No
to the
shit.
clan, themed
That's
spin-down
awesome.
die, and
Let's fucking go, hell
stamped
yeah.
premium foil rare mythic promo from the set. So yeah,
Well, I can get.
they are doing exactly what they did.
I'll tell you
Which
what. All my boys are buying in Mardu. Let me say.
Boys, I don't know what to tell you, but like, we're all playing the same thing. But But I
way.
wanted to play Sultai. That's too fucking bad. I'm paying the money.
You want to play
that makes
Mardu
me wonder
today,
if-
buddy.
Because I know my face to face is doing them for they have the kits and they tell you which one you're
Yeah,
getting.
yeah.
But my LGS that I go to that's a little closer is hella French, and they their website doesn't always have the most information. And I've just signed up for pre-release on Saturday the 5th at 11 a.m. and it doesn't say anything about picking your clan. So I'm going to get there early and I'll be like, yo, guys, you better give me Mardu. Like, let's
Yep.
don't even mess around with me here. You got to give me Mardu.
It's yeah. I'm sorry, but like, if I'm going to this pre-release, if they're like, sorry man, we don't have any Mardu kits, I'm just turning around and leaving the store. You can't do this to me.
Yeah, I would have reserved one in my colors if you had done your part on the website there. Please
Yeah.
do better, but also give me.
I
hope
showed
I
you.
get
I
it.
showed you my color combination. Please respond. Any
Don't
other
give me a
things to
just
note?
guy.
Because like I think the new cons are super cool. The dragons are super sweet, even like
Yeah.
main set wise versus the pre-cons.
Mm-hmm.
Even some like random uncommons and stuff here. Like a friend of mine got excited for a new cantrip for his Mavinda deck. It was like target creature gets +3/+0, draw a card. He's like, yeah. Just,
I mean, that's a
there's stuff for
feather
everyone
card
here,
right
as
there.
usual.
That's a feather card for sure.
The cantrip
There's, like-
technology is looking incredible this set.
Yep.
Shout out to Omens. They're like adventures, except you shuffle the card in. And I think that is an interesting way to offer you the same sort of more card per card.
The fact that they get to shuffle in this time, so people are probably going to have to rework their brains to remember to do that when they cast the Omen. But it is a nice way to be like, okay, I want the Omen now. Let's see if I get it back later. Blah blah
Right.
blah. But
It speaks to the unpredictability of like the game itself, but also like it's so flavorful with the story. Like you have your dragons are circling. Like, come on now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, here's this thing that says, like, I don't know, put 2+1/+1 counters on a guy and draw a card, and then it's also a dragon that I'm shuffling in later, and hey, maybe you'll see him again.
I will say another thing that's really cool is some of my favorite art is all on uncommons. Like,
yeah, the art direction's kind of nuts.
it is
This
incredible.
set.
This has been a really good showing for Magic the Gathering, and I think it's also a proof that like people are hungry for a proper Magic set versus Universes Beyond Everything kind of deal. So I wonder what direction we're gonna go in, but at the same time, I'm not mad at Universes Beyond. I just I'm not gonna be into everything. Final Fantasy can scratch my nuts. I don't care. I never have been a Final Fantasy guy.
Yeah, fair
But,
enough.
But like, it's still Magic cards, so I'm interested in what they do.
Yeah, there's always going to be something mechanically that'll do something that's interesting,
Yeah.
Quinn's just
I
like,
just
don't give it.
I just don't like the look
my
of
face
them.
directly in that trough.
I don't
I feel
care.
as if some of the stuff that
care.
I've seen so far about Final Fantasy is like, I feel as if every time that I see Sephiroth and Cloud on a card right now I know it's the Final Fantasy Remake Rebirth redesigns, and that's fine, but there's no like deviation in the art style. Like, it's very close. It's well done, but it's very close to the designs, and I wish there was a bit more of that artist's take. Like, add some flair to it, Some of the artworks for, like, the Cloud cards that we've seen so far that aren't, like, alternate artwork treatments are very kind of, like, flat. I do love the kind of, like, pre-con intro decks that they're doing for Cloud and Sephiroth, and, like, good compositional piece, great panorama, cool. But everything else is kind of like, it's not quite there, for me. But
I mean,
we'll see. It's only early preview stuff, so like we haven't seen anything yet.
I will say, like, Emmett Selch or Hades, like, I love the art for Hades on the backside.
Nuts,
big
insane,
fan of
yeah.
that. So sick. But then you get the alt treatment where it's like you're in front of a plain background with the number of your game, and then you've got the character drawn in front of it, and it's very cartoony, it's very anime, and I'm like, I'm off it. This could not be further from what I'm interested in. Like the jumbo cactus, I'm like, that's pretty funny. The chocobo is pretty cute or whatever. But like, if you could have made the jumbo cactus in Outlaws at Thunder Junction and given it +20/+0. I guess flavorfully it's fine.
Give it a little cowboy hat on top. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
just but Final Fantasy isn't for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it for sure. But having seen Tarkir and what can be on offer with it, I just want more Magic stuff, dude. It's so sick.
The early artwork stuff that we've seen for the Edge of Eternity
looks so cool.
Oh, dude.
Like,
oh, yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing, right? Every time they've talked about, people have complained about the hat treatment and all this other stuff the last year. Like, look, I like the aesthetics of New Capenna. I like the aesthetics. Thunder Junction's a little goofy and campy, sure, but like they got cactus people, they got weird snorses. Like, there's still some kind of weirdness to it.
I'm the target audience for hat sets. It's me.
Okay, yeah.
I don't mind hat sets.
Yeah.
I love Murders at Karlov Manor.
And yet, some of the cards, if not like a lot of the artwork, still has that magicness to it, for me at least.
Yes, totally.
You know? And Aether Drift, yes, it's over the top. We're doing a driving set, but I think some of the more evocative, colorful stuff that they had still has this sort of Magitech steampunkness that I like, and I can still see within Magic. But then, you know, whatever. Maybe it falls apart for some people.
But I loved the alt treatment for Winter in Aether Drift. It looked like incredible piece of art.
He's
for
so cool.
Truly an
I'm like,
awful card.
This loser is so cool.
Yeah. This little dweeb that sucks ass looks so amazing.
Like, what the... I'm like, oh, that guy... I'm like, in this moment, he's cool. In every other context, he's terrible.
Yeah.
But Edge of Eternity has a very strong aesthetic already.
Oh, I'm already
and it's
so
space.
in.
So, like, I don't... Like, seeing people in, like, white, streamlined armor with capes and laser swords and shit, I'm in it. I'm in it.
Not
It looks
mad at
fucking
it.
sick.
Oh, dude,
Here's the
homegirl with
thing.
the fucking space helmet on, she looks so
Thank
cool.
you.
The Space Angel...
Also...
Awesome.
Hey, put Magic characters in space, like, awesome. Let me, like I want to know how somebody I'm aware of is like, hey, what happens when Ashling explodes in space? Like, come on now, let's think about
Hey,
that for
yo.
a second. But
Okay,
also, let me just put it this way: I'm looking at Flamehold Grappler, which is like, they've used this art to promo the set. Like,
Yeah.
Flamehold Grappler, Wayne Wu, mwah, incredibly done. This art is just like, that is a Jeskai monk. You can't put this art on any other plane unless you acknowledge the fact that this is a Jeskai monk. This is incredible. It's so beautiful. It's so evocative. It's exactly what you want from Magic. And I just look at this art and I go, give me more. And then you look at Monastery Messenger right after it, and you're like, this is a common, and it's one of the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen. It's gorgeous, and you like. There's so much work going into like the world building, and just the visual language of the set is just so compelling. And yeah, I'm just really thrilled with Tarkir. Now, listeners of the show, you should know that we are more than an hour and a half into the show, and we don't care.
No, we
are
do
getting
not give a
four-
flying fuck.
We are giving you 4.5 hours.
We're
palling around.
We inserted Smoking Mids Part 2, and that's going to add 15 more minutes to this. And again, we don't give a shit. This is...
I accounted for that in my estimation. that puts us over an hour and a half. That gets us over the 90-minute line.
Fantastic. Yeah, so, you know, we're off to the races. Yeah, Tarkir is going to be on the brain for a while for sure.
A huge success, and it hasn't even come out yet. That is honestly one of the most impressive things about this set right now. I don't think I felt this electricity for Magic online or like within. Like you said, you got people coming out of the woodwork being like, Tarkir's back, and it looks like this, and the story was a slam dunk. Like Aether Drift, I wasn't really too into. I loved Duskmourn, but I apparently was in the minority for that, which I do not understand.
No, Duskmourn I thought was super great, in my opinion.
I mean,
but...
excuse me,
Pretty
the
divisive
Tyvar's
set.
abilities being explored the way they were
He
was just
so
like
cool.
that was the coolest thing that Magic has done in the story in a long time. Like it really, I didn't get Tyvar until Duskmourn's story, and now I'm like, that dude fucking rips. I get what he does. I know what his abilities are. That's a cool ass planeswalker or like Despark character. But like him and Zimone, their dynamic was great. Duskmourn story incredibly well done. Huge fan of it. But Tarkir Dragonstorm story, just like I found myself holding my breath and like waiting to exhale. I found myself getting emotional about reuniting of two characters, like or three characters even. I gotta and I don't fancy myself like a lore guy. I'm not a big...
Yeah, not a Vorthos, yeah.
I'm not a Vorthos guy. It's like I'm not... Like, I will play Universes Beyond cards with my regular Magic cards. Like, I don't give a shit. But the story, I'll give it a read. If it's compelling, I'll stick with it. Like, that's what matters. And this one really fucking nailed it. This was such a good run of stories. And I have queued up after our hang... Like, I'm going to be doing chores and stuff. And I've got the new episode of the
audiobook,
story
hit
podcast.
play.
It's literally the story podcast where Roy Graham is a guest, and they're gonna go over like recapping the story and kind of explaining their decisions and stuff, and what they're really setting up and kind of clearing some stuff up. I'm excited for that.
So here's what I'm going to say this, and maybe some people have picked it up from the way I've talked about it before. I know a few people who are very thorough, emotionally attached Vorthoses, or at least people who are very beholden to Magic from when it came out in '93, and they were there for the Weatherlight and Urza and the whole shebang, right? And I'm a guy who came... I've mentioned it before, but I used to read like the books before they established the lore. I read Arena, I read the Greensleeve Saga, and like that kind of established
Saga.
That established shit for me, you know. That was my intro. Like that was my intro to Magic from a lore standpoint, despite the fact that they're like, well, some of it's kind of wibbly wobbly. Like it was before we established like all these rules about like planeswalkers and all this other stuff, right? I am not the biggest shill for Magic story because people are like, oh, I remember when Magic was this. I'm like, not that I wasn't there for that, and I wasn't, but you can't tell me that a group of assorted characters getting on a ship and flying to all these different worlds is exactly new territory, but it is Magic's flavor of it, right? Urza being a fucking giant world-ending piece of shit, eugenicist, psycho nutbag, right? Like, great, you can have these characters that are monsters, horrendous monsters and all this other stuff, you know? But Magic's story, in the grand scheme of things, never really spoke to me. Like, I was interested in, like, what is... Okay, Liliana and Nicol Bolas in the Pact, right? How did that end? Did I feel like it was satisfying when Gideon sacrificed his life and all this other stuff? Like, yeah, that is really cool. Did it earn those moments in the lead up to it? Kind of like depends on how you interpret it in the grand scheme of things. When
we
they
are
did
talking
the
about a little flop era and back then.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
War of the Spark had its
sorry,
moments.
War of the
Ikoria.
Spark, the novel, is not just a flop, dude. That is the most heinous piece of media I've ever attempted to read.
Was it before or after they were like, Brendan Sanders said, do you want to create a character for us and put out a story, please? Thank you, please. Like, they needed somebody to reestablish that Magic story was in decent hands.
No, and here's the thing, right? I think in the macro scale, Magic story is a fucking nonsense jumble of whatever. But when you get to the micro scale of like, let's go to a plane and talk about the shit that's happening in the plane. Let's get all these writers on board, these amazing, fantastic writers in-house and hired on or whatever. You know, Simone Gale and all these other people just fucking nailing it. They fucking nailed the stories recently, and it's the best media that you can consume for free, and that we get that before these sets come out. But when it comes to, like, yeah, okay, why is everyone a detective on Ravnica? The Phyrexians came and went from an internal thing, like, there was a build-up, but was it satisfying in the grand scheme of things and all this other stuff? And it's like, I'm not going to be here and tell you that I agree or disagree. I think the Phyrexian thing... Phyrexia's end in March of the Machine made sense, but it felt like the build-up wasn't satisfying, and we could be here for hours about that. I think Or, I think it's like in an isolationist environment that they put themselves in, they thought they were going to be top dog, and then they realized the multiverse had hands.
It's literally that. Elish Norn's hubris is just like, I'm perfect and everyone is going to join my cause. I'm doing this correctly. They can't stand my all-out assault. Girl, you were spread way too thin, and the multiverse, like Cole said, has hands.
So there are some times where some of these story beats either make sense, but they're not satisfying, or it's awesome, but, like, doesn't make sense. And then we get to, like, Duskmourn's really great. the background, like what the fuck are Jason Vraska up to leading up to
Yes.
this point. Now we hit the apex in Tarkir Dragonstorm. On top of Dragonstorms being established to be an issue leading up into it, so you know something's happening. We get to Tarkir Dragonstorm. We got Elspeth here. We got Narset. We got Sarkhan. We got Ugin. Spoiler alert, we got Bolas. And what the
you
fuck
can't
is...
forget one extra guy that you seem to be forgetting.
Oh, the little guy Loot? My boy?
No.
Oh.
Ajani. No mention of Ajani. Ajani not being dead is crazy. Like, I mean, like
Ajani?
Malira saved them, we know, but like Ajani still, I mean, he's got a lot of shame to him, and obviously that can, like, meeting Narset again, and Elspeth especially again, it's just like, that was so Cassandra Khan nailed it. Like, it was it was so well done. I don't know how many people out there have finished or even started this story, but like, we've given away a little bit, and I would encourage you to go ahead and read the story. Like, you've got characters like Nur, who I'm still waiting for. Like, I hope Nur gets a card. You know, we know Felithar gets 2 cards, and they're a big deal in the story. And you know, there's some discussion about Narset and her relationship to Shiko, which is like so like interesting, and
especially in the wake of Ojutai, like having that relationship with Ojutai and everything. Like, so cool, so interesting.
And again, I am not a lore guy. I'm not diving in head first every single time. This one gripped me, and I will go on record and say I didn't give a fuck about Tarkir. I never have. Tarkir was not my set. I was never a big, I love Tarkir. Everybody talks about Tarkir with these like, the nostalgia for it. And
I mean, the
like,
rose tinted goggles are through the frickin' roof for me.
You can absolutely hear the heart emojis in people's eyes when they talk about Tarkir.
Never been for me. Look, I love multicolor sets, but if you're going to talk multicolor sets, you're going to give me the invasion block. That's where I was like losing my mind about it.
Here's the thing. You could hold Tarkir on the pedestal as if it was like Alara, because Alara established the shards color combos. And a lot of people, like even today, still play a lot of those legendary creatures in the command zone for a reason. And
yeah, dude, I have Cedrus in the command zone to this day.
And then we get to Tarkir, and Tarkir shook up enough for people to actually care. And the gameplay was really cool. Like, Siege Rhino and Standard, let's fucking go, whatever, right? Like, we get it. That card
Siege
is
Rhino
awesome.
and Modern for a while.
We're doing it again, you know? Like, we're gonna do it again, but this time there's gonna be 2 fucking different Siege Rhinos, but one of them's a fucking vehicle. And you know, like, it holds a lot of weight for people, and there's a reason for it, from like a mechanical standpoint, a visual identity standpoint, color combinations. And then the fact that they manage, at least as we've seen so far, they're doing it again, but this time they're doing it in one set, and they're like, the status quo is maintained and altered to feel fresh. And like, that is why I'm like, this set's insane.
This kind of thing does make me miss blocks. Like, I do wish we had blocks again. And I will also say another success of Tarkir that we haven't touched on in general is that the clans are so well defined. And they are so separate in a way that, like, you know, Ravnica, you have, like, Ravnican guilds, all 10 of them. Tarkir, you've only got the 5 clans, and they have to, you know, they have to respect each other's existence and, like, be able to work with or, you know, on each other's borders and stuff. But they are very much maintaining their way of life and interacting. But this story and this set has meshed them in a way. Just look at the sieges. The siege cycle in this set is such a masterful stroke of brilliance, in my opinion, with this set. The way that they've approached it by giving us a choice between guild names with the colors that are shared within them. Incredibly well done. So smart. So thoughtful. And so expansive in terms of the world building, because it gives you 2 abilities per siege to kind of tell you, like, this is what this clan is known for, and you've got a couple cards for each one, right? So, like, Abzan is represented on the Baron Step Siege and the Hollow Merc Siege, which is the Golgari and the Orzhov one. And so you're looking at, okay, what's the Orzhov one going to be? Abzan gets, at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Okay, what about the Hollow Merc Siege, the Golgari one? Abzan says whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. It gains menace until end of turn. You open these both in limited or, guess what? If you're building Abzan, you have these things that are going to prop you up in a big way, but you also get to have the flexibility of leaning into a different clan's identity.
Yeah.
Because in Dragonstorm, in Tarkir Dragonstorm, the idea is they are all leaning on each other. And they are, like, their common enemy is the dragons and the impending, like, I don't want to go too hard at it, but it's like, I think that this set is so well designed. The intention is so strong here. This has potential to be one of the most memorable sets for the next decade plus. I think this is going to be like a benchmark in a bar, similar to how Neon Dynasty did. Like,
Yeah.
Kamigawa, the return to Kamigawa was phenomenal, and they're knocking it out of the park here.
I guess I agree with that. I'm thinking Neon Dynasty Foundations, just from pure
Foundations
design,
was really surprising.
effort, and then and Dragonstorm is probably going to be like known for a while because like you said, it's so resonant right now. It's obscenely
Massive.
resonant with people.
Yeah.
Like it's so good.
And it feels pushed, but not like incredibly super stupid, fucked up pushed either.
Unless you're a Rennie, but like whatever. Like all the legendary creatures, like we're seeing again, we're going into the part of like there's a bunch of legendary creatures because we're trying to establish the identity of these
The new
people
era.
in these clans, but like
Yeah.
Tursa Light Shatter.
Yes, the mono red.
The mono red, discard up to 2, draw to that many cards. Do maybe bring stuff if you have threshold or whatever, right? Like
Yeah, if there's
What
7 more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random into your graveyard when it attacks, and you may play that card this turn.
like
Sweet.
great, simple, to the point, random character that happens to be monocolor but establishes that she is part of the Mardu. Just through presentation, naming conventions, the whole thing. Like there is an
Watermark.
identity here. Watermark, yeah. So like, we're gonna be seeing a lot more of that in the next upcoming week, and people will have already seen it by the time this episode comes out. But like, oh man, like they're nailing the nail on the head with a hammer every time. Just keep going. Keep cooking. Can't wait.
Absolutely thrilled with the set so far. And again, this is coming from somebody who didn't give a flying fuck about Tarkir to begin with.
Yeah.
Did not give a fuck.
Quinn, cards good?
Cards real fucking good, dude.
You don't need to say anything more when Quinn just sits there and just goes, yep, cards good. That's all you need to know.
I have been playing some of the new cards. I think the new talking stick in particular,
Yeah.
Voice of Victory, who
Oh,
yeah, I think the Conqueror's Flails where that originated. But like once you have that equipped and your opponents can't cast spells on your turn, so it's like you're holding the talking stick, so everybody else has to
Okay.
shut the fuck up. So anything that has that like silence effect is colloquially around these parts a talking stick. And the Voice of Victory is one of those for me that also has mobilize. So you do put it at a little bit of a risk, but the reward of just like the potential impact tremors triggers, the little guys entering card draw triggers,
anything that cares about
all of your
tokens.
and combat damage triggers, like all of that looks real good. And then of course every Mardu legendary creature we're extremely interested in. The Frostcliff Siege I think is my favorite of these so far.
Interesting.
It's fucking
Didn't that?
Timna on one mode, and the other one is creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample and haste.
So,
which
like,
is like
what?
the
What a nutty.
Teamer Ascendancy.
Yeah, so good. Love that.
I'm extremely into that. It's good for dealing combat damage and drawing cards, which is one of my favorite things to do in the game. And then the other side's like, if you have ferocious creatures, your ferocious creatures are ferociouser and will connect. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, this set's crazy, and like I haven't seen everything. I'm trying to like absorb because it's a set that I actually care about. I'm not even looking at it from a pure how can I upgrade my Odric Bloodcurse deck. Hit keywords, red, white, go. I'm like, what do the sieges do? What do all the legendary creatures do? It does make me think of like, isn't there a card or like an unplaytest card that's like if you were to select a mode, you select one extra mode, or
I
like
think
you
there
don't have
is
the
one
choice?
like that. I don't remember what the name of that card is though, but that does sound like a familiar effect. It might be. I'm loading a bit of the card, and I cannot remember the full thing. So
Couldn't
maybe
tell
I'll
you
find it
'cause I
like,
don't care
after
about
this
those
is
cards.
over. But yeah, it is. I think from Unfinity, it lets you select more modes.
Yeah, something like Far Out. That's it. Far Out. I just found it. 3-mana enchantment. Rather than choose the indicated number of modes for spells and abilities you control, you may choose one or more modes. You can't choose any mode more than once.
You don't have to copy the sieges. You just be like, I choose both because fuck you, I guess.
That's the thing, though. If you copy the siege, you copy the mode that's already selected. You don't get to. It's yeah. So at least that's how I get it, right? Because
I thought if you made a new version of it, like you copy
as it enters, you
enchantment or whatever
choose.
I think so, but
I guess the Frontier Siege or something's probably got that ruling on there from the old cons.
Entirely possible.
Choose cons or dragons, and the dragons one on that one is also really cool. Being able to fight with your flying creatures. Oh man, yeah. And then whoever makes like their Tarkir cubes, like that thing's gonna be nutty. This thing's gonna be insane. They're like, oh man.
If a permanent enters the battlefield as a copy of one of the sieges, its controller will make a new choice for that siege.
Oh, tight.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I guess on the stack is where I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because when you copy it on the stack, you choose the same mode or something.
Yeah, ETB versus whatever the mode of the spell is.
Oh, wow. You know what I also forgot about this set? They finally printed a card that's going to get Orcish Bowmasters banned. Sarak Elusive Hunter.
Right. Yeah. If someone you every time you target the person's creatures with that version of Sarak out, it triggers Orcish Bowmasters. And then you put a new iteration of the thing on the stack, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again.
So you make them draw their entire deck. You deck them out essentially before the triggers resolve.
Yep. You'll kill every single creature, even if they do survive, but they are definitely drawing their deck before that happens. Yeah, it's
People don't respect that effect, and they won't play that card because there's already cards that do that, I think.
Well, there are already cards that do that with like a May ability, I think, like one of the Runic Armasaur or something.
That one's, I think, for activated
abilities.
Okay.
Enchant does the same thing about if you become the target of a spell, you can draw a card.
I also think, wasn't there already like a combo with Flumph also?
Yeah, but that one you have to deal damage, so it's not like a pointing at this triggers.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Compared to putting the 60 cards on the stack kind of thing or whatever. But yeah. Yep. We'll
people
see
don't respect that effect, so I think it's probably fine.
All right. But yeah, Tarkir good. Tarkir's good. Let's talk about some of the other stuff that we've seen or watched, or what you've been up to. Mike, you had your stand-up clip go viral.
Yeah, I did. I had a stand-up clip go viral for the very first time in my life, and it happens to be it's a joke that's like fine. That's the thing, is like it's a bit that's one that I'm kind of like, okay, hey, all right, well, it's a joke I like to do when I need to get an audience on board and they're not really there yet, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Old Faithful kind of one. It's about the Quebecois accent and how much I love doing it for myself, and then I pretend I don't speak French. We're looking at it. It's literally just about to hit 2 million views on
That's
Instagram.
crazy, dude. dude.
It feels insane. Like, I've never had anything pop off like this, but it's also led to people just being like, either commenting like they don't understand what a joke fucking is, or just being like, hey, it looks like the Rizzler really let himself go, or like, hey, fat guy. And you're like, why are you acting like I don't know this about myself? Like, I don't understand the impulse of somebody being like, hey, you're a fat dude. And to me, being as if
like,
I haven't had every reminder of just like my existence. Like, I've been fat since I was a kid, dude. Like, you tell me something I don't know. Also, I am aware of your existence right now, and you make me sad. As your existence, not your comment, your existence makes me sad. I'm sorry your Instagram page about how much you love cars hasn't taken off because you don't know how to take a fucking picture. How about you suck my ass and go fuck yourself? All these guys get blocked, and it's been really satisfying to block them.
Oh, here's so
fucking get them, dude.
This is a bit of a tangent, but kind of a similar thing of like, seeing a clip go viral and seeing kind of everything that kind of goes around it. There was this dude, what's his name, Cowboy or whatever, who was playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, or the new one, right?
Yeah.
And he lost his shit. He's like, okay, gonna put this guy on a timeout on Twitch, and he's like, if you're gonna be weird about seeing a historic black guy on screen on a video game and do the whole DEI woke comment bullshit, like, quit wasting your time, quit being indignant, get the fuck off the internet and go do something with your life, right? Yeah. And it's like, every time you see funny people, or like people doing a bit, or people playing a video game and doing something funny, or doing a comedy routine or whatever, right? And it's like, and then you have the most nonsensical people, or the people who have literally every free second on their hands to just be the most annoying, belligerent, angry, miserable human being. And they're like, I'm gonna say the comment that's gonna make you miserable. And you're like, you're so glad that you're hiding behind a screen and a bullshit username, and like, fuck off, man.
What do you get out of doing this right now? Like, the real question, honestly, what do you get out of this? My question to them is, like, the thing is, what happens is the joke is I love the Quebecois accent so much. It's my favorite sound in the world. The Quebecois person attempting the English language, beautiful. I love doing it, and then I do it while I do my chores, so I do an impression of myself doing chores while I do the accent, and then I go, the thing is, I forget that I'm doing it, and I'll go off into the real world, and I'll go to a pharmacy, like, excuse me, I need a bag, please. And the clerk will switch to French, and I say, oh, no, I do not speak French. And that's the joke, right? So it's like, I'm pretending I don't speak French. But these people online are like, yeah, well, it's better that French people are actually trying English, unlike Anglophones who don't want to try French. And I have to be like, hey, how about this is a bit celebrating the Quebecois accent.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is, like, it's a joke, and also out of the 100 and something comments or whatever, I'm replying saying, hey, I'm lying in the joke. I actually went to French high school. And for what it's worth, as much as I love this accent, this is the exact accent that was used to bully me in my time when I was still learning French. Yeah. So, like, how about, like, I did my time and you could go fuck yourself? Like, I point this anger somewhere
Mike,
else.
I'll go on record saying I thought you were like a New Yorker when I first heard your voice.
People think that. That happens
was like,
a lot.
This dude's American, and you're like, nah, bro, Canadian. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, all right.
I watched a lot of TV growing up, and that's like, it's fair. East Coast accent, that's fair. I understand, and I get that so much. Often, regularly, and it works to my advantage, baby.
Yeah, no kidding. You're like, but I'm going incognito in the States. Mm-hmm. Flying under the radar. Come back.
Hey, I'm walking it. MagicCon Vegas is coming up, and I've been selected to be a featured creator again, and I'm very grateful and very excited. However, I am terrified. I have a call with a friend of mine this week who's a lawyer, and I'm just like going to check in and be like, what's the likelihood here that I should or shouldn't do this?
Yeah,
the answer is likely, like, don't. Which is going to break my heart because, like, I would love to. I really want to be there.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm not going to do stand-up in Vegas. I'm going to show up and just be at the con. This will be the first con I get to go to that
And
has
actually just
nothing
be the
to
con,
do but
that's it,
the
yeah.
con. Which means I can commit to events. I can say yes to like dinners with people who
Yeah.
are like always like, "What are you doing after this?" I'll be like, I have to go do like 3 shows." No. I get to be like, what are we doing for dinner? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. But
I mean,
that
if you
said,
get to go,
it's a wild time.
it'll be fun. If you get to go, it'll be great.
Oh yeah. I think it'll be a great time. I'm excited about it. I hope it's like, if there's a way for me to like even get a fast track like B1 visa or get some sort of note from EDH or Space Cow for Commander's Herald and being like, this is one of our writers. He's coming to the convention to like be at the convention. And the border agent's going to be like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's great, you know. But we'll see. I just don't know what. Yeah, it's a tough time between Canada and the U.S.
Yep. I feel like other people will probably put it a little more
Less
accurately.
delicately.
Well, I mean, because we're so careful about what we say on this podcast, obviously. But just yeah, I wish, as someone who has not traveled and doesn't have not a visa, excuse me, passport, like I would still like to go to the States to have the opportunity to see a lot of my friends and stuff. Mike is currently stepped away to go a bit more water, no big deal. But being able to go see Quinn or Lenny,
I went to
or
open
any of
the door because a dog was scratching at the door.
But yeah, just would love to go travel, have those experiences, come home, blah blah blah. But I also don't have the money. I rarely
money's
do.
tough right now. Our dollar's dog shit against the American dollar, despite the American economy tanking like crazy. So tell me that's not fake.
Which is fucking. I quit having me be 35 fucking cents to the dollar, man. Christ. But yeah, like I would love to travel, but the idea of also traveling is also like
it's scary.
Bueno.
It's not a good time for it. And the thing is, I also don't want to be like, hey, Wizards, no thank you. And then be like, I'm applying again. And they'll be like, nah. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like in a... I think Wizards would understand if I'm like, hey, the relationship between our countries is just like not good and I don't feel safe. I don't think they'd hold that against me until it's time to like come back or whatever. But
yeah,
there is this like element of FOMO where I'm like, I got selected. This happened. I had a great time in Chicago.
Which is crazy,
I feel like I contributed. And I'm one of so many people applying and I got it. And I really feel like, you know what? I want to ride this as much as I can, and I want to be there. I had a blast in Chicago. Just like I said, this week I'm going to have a conversation that's either going to disappoint me or just make me feel a lot more comfortable. And then that's only for now. We still have months before it's time to travel, and we've seen what the guy can do in a couple months. So who knows how much worse it's going to get. So that's a consideration. Anyway, I had a stand-up clip go viral. It was fun. Nearly 2 million views. I'd love the States, and I hope to come back.
It's a funny bit, man. It's a funny bit. I freaking love that.
And I read the magic story. Those are my content things. I don't want to talk about TV shows, I guess, because I misread what this brief was, but I watch TV.
Oh,
too.
well, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I've been playing The Outer Wilds recently, and it's a video game that came out 6 years ago, I think. It's I want to say it's indie, but it's like you travel through space as an alien guy, and your ship's made of like wood and ancient technology, and it's a fucking psychedelic, weird experience. I've been wanting to play it forever because I keep hearing about it, but you don't hear anything about it because if anyone tells you the premise, it spoils the whole dang thing. So it's cool. Give it a try. I think it's on sale right now, but I don't know. So I'm gonna go through the list of content that I've seen recently or read or whatever. Kristen Gregory, we got 2 articles from her. One I'm throwing out as the primary big focus here, being the ups and downs of taking a break from Magic. She had to move recently, and she went on her Japan trip back to back. Which was stressful, but she committed. She got it both figured out, and then she's like, I haven't been able to play Magic in like 3 months. But yet, Tarkir Dragonstorm's come out on this other stuff, and she's got like that buzz in the back of her head. And now she's kind of able to re-engage with like fresh eyes and renewed energy and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then she made an article about, I don't know, drawing more cards in Commander games or whatever. Who cares? Play more Razorkin
Magic the
Needlehead.
Gathering players want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's drawing more cards. But give those both a read. But I do particularly recommend the ups and downs of taking a break from Magic. I think it'd be probably pretty resonant for a lot of people. We then go to Rebel Lily's awesome Tarkir spoiler video where it's the Teamer versus Jeskai in the style of like old like 90s like homemade kung fu movies and like it's just so campy, so authentic and referential and everything. It's so funny. It's so good.
It was really good. Yeah.
She does incredible work with all of her YouTube videos, so absolutely
When she did,
check out.
the Neon Dynasty one was so fucking good.
It did own.
So I found this guy recently, Quips and Guac. There's all these smaller Magic the Gathering deck building YouTubers that I've come across just by like randomly. YouTube's like, here you go, here's the algorithm. I'm like, this dude has like 1,000 subscribers. I'll go check him out. But this Chips and Guac guy, his energy is a little wacky, but he's made a 200 card commander deck, but it's actually 100 cards. But it's every MDFC or card with like like it'll probably have omens in the future. It has adventures. It has rooms in it.
Okay, so just every instance of 2 cards per card.
He has 3 lands. If you look at the breakdown, there are 3 lands.
They're pathways too.
The pathways, and then the rest of the cards are front face permanents, backside lands. So I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's
and he plays it with clear sleeves. Ooh.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
Not all of them are dual face, but yeah. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was funny to look into. It's not the first time that I've heard about someone making this type of deck. Quinn, I think someone mentioned they saw it at an LGS in the Legendary Creature Discord, but the person also has a Yorion Rule 0 companion. Which I was like,
yeah, I mean, they've got 200 cards, sure.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like people who want to play, like, their Battle of Wits commander decks. Like, okay, I mean, go for it, but, like...
I mean, I pulled up this video, and it's sitting at, like, 40,000 views. The guy's got, like, 20,000 subscribers. He's doing all right.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was another guy that I saw recently that was doing, like, some philosophical discussions about Commander and Control and all this other stuff. And I think I saw him through Benoit, but I'll have to double check.
Yeah, I think that was IMTG, and they were posting about playing the heal in Commander.
Yeah,
That was a very
do the whole
interesting
wrestling
watch.
heel bit, which, like,
Yes.
every once in a while people talk about that.
I mean,
like,
Krim, Asian Avengers
yeah,
made
but
a
how
career
can
out of
you
it.
how can you beat that guy's energy when it comes to that stuff? Like,
I don't know. I can't wait to see him again. That dude is wild. That dude's out of his mind. It's great.
I mean, have you seen his hair? How can you dedicate to having
I love
the blue? That blue that when he was doing that, like, was the most like, it looked awesome. It looked super cool. No one doesn't
Very
like him.
vibrant.
it. Rules.
And then last thing to mention was, of course, Ristic Studies. You know, when Sam makes a video, you gotta go watch it. And
Yeah,
the 50
dude.
magic cards about everything and nothing. Like, every card you can think of under the sun, from competitive play and just weird random shit.
I would love a soapbox moment about this video. I would if you'll indulge me.
Hell yeah, go off.
Okay.
Hit the music. No, wait, turn it off. Don't
Okay.
don't hit the music yet. We're not actually doing it. Not
Yeah.
yet.
So here's the thing. Sam makes incredible videos that are so dense and detailed, full of the history of the game and, strong analysis, and it's more educational. It's very it's so rich in detail, and but it is very academic. That's his style. It's been his style for a long time. Ristic Studies channel is just chock full of videos that like you can sit down and watch like you're watching, like not just a YouTube video essay, but you're watching like
I'm going to a college. I'm going to a college lecture or something.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I've sat down and watched a video, and my girlfriend's gotten home, and she has been absolutely resisting the idea of even learning about magic beyond when I tell her stuff to help her fall asleep.
That. Yeah, my girlfriend's the same
Andrina
way.
makes me talk about magic when it's time for her to sleep. Like if she's having trouble sleep, we will cuddle, and she'll be like, "Please, okay, go ahead." And I'll be like, "Okay, pick a color combination. I'll tell you all about it." And then she goes, "What are the colors?"
Let me talk about the cops.
Yeah. No, straight up. One time I did it about Boros and Azores, and that's the one time she was like, "Okay, pick a different one. I hate this." But that said, like I was watching one of Sam's videos, and she gets home, and I'm still playing it. She's like, she just joined me on the couch. We finished the video together, and she was like, "That was pretty interesting." And I think it was like the foiling and how like physical. Cards,
oh yeah, well that's such a
stuff.
cool one. Yeah,
It was an incredible one. But this one, the reason I think it's popping off is because this is probably the most personal video Sam has done in a while, or at least maybe even ever. This is Sam. This is like Sam doing an AMA for himself by just picking cards to talk about.
Take a look at my dead bug pin collection of all the different species that I got. Like
Dude,
that kind of thing.
Yes. This is what's your thing? That the Canadian PSA from when we were kids, or that's what I was thinking.
The house hippo or like whatever kind of thing.
Oh well, no, the one where it's like literal kids being like, "What's your thing, Mom?" Aiden cut
that
me
one,
off
yeah.
again."
Mom, yeah. Oh yeah, the kid
My
doing
thing's sound
like,
effects. Here's a T-Rex.
Hip hop in the laundromat and stuff. Yeah, I
exactly.
remember that. Yeah.
But then, so Sam did this video about 50 cards in Magic, and you're learning stuff about it, but you're also learning why he's put these cards in a binder together. You're learning about the history of one card, but then also you're moving on to like Ashiok from Wilds of Eldraine and him going, "I'm not fucking reading this card. There's too much on this card," and you're like, that's a hilarious one to just that's in the binder, in the same binder as like all these other cards that he cherishes. He's also like, this is an abomination.
Like Chromanticore and
Chromanticore is so huge.
Yeah, like stuff like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And so it was the most personal video that he's put out, and I think people are vibing with it because we've got this like the parasocial element of like content creation and so on. You love Sam. You watch his videos. You think you kind of know him,
guy.
But he doesn't
don't know him at all.
Exactly. You don't get much out of him. You get him being like he's a smart, analytical guy who appreciates art and will find a way to make it compelling to you. As not only just a topic that you're interested in, but he will find a way to inject maybe topics you don't know about or are interested in to bring it in, tie it together. He is very, very masterful at that. This was just, hey, you guys are going to get to know me a little bit better through these cards. And I thought it was such a brilliant way to do this, like just like a, hey, I'm having fun with this video. I loved it. I just thought it was one of the most refreshing videos I've seen in a minute, in the sense that like, I don't know. Didn't you feel like, oh fuck, I love Magic? Like, let me pull out. I have a pile of cards that I'm sitting on. Just like I have a binder with the 30th edition, like the 30th anniversary logos and stuff like that playmat up there. That I have behind me.
It's so awesome.
I have that binder and I have those sleeves, and I'm slowly putting together stuff in that binder to be like, these are cards that mean a lot to me. I got a foil cartographer from Odyssey block right here on my desk. It's going in as one of the most beautiful cards I've ever seen. You know what else is going in? A shit ton of other cards just because I like them. And seeing Sam do this, I was like, hell yeah, dude. We do love this game for more than its mechanics, for more than all of it. Like, this game means so much to all of us. And I thought it was beautiful.
I think I mentioned it on some soapboxes and stuff the last few episodes, but like the reason why it sucks so much to see people jump ship from Magic in whether it's content creation or guesting on streams or even just straight up giving up the game or whatever, like being very selective of who they play with or how they play it, you know, or you know, stuff like that. Like, it's because of how strong of a foundation Magic has. And yes, I said earlier I'm not the biggest shill for the story, but the story matters for people for a reason. The artwork and the artwork identity of Magic exists for a reason, and people resonating with it. And so when we get characters, like it's characters, it's individual cards, it's deck archetypes, it's eras of Magic, it's that weird random competitive game that they have on YouTube from like a decade ago that you're like, this game was the best game of Magic that I've seen played ever. And you're like, and then for me, I'm like, I don't know who those people are. Some of these cards I don't recognize because I've never seen them before, blah, 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 stuff like that, you know? Like, but everything about Magic is so obscenely complex, and then you add the personal element and the interpersonal elements between, like, people and stuff. Like, no wonder it's one of, like, we're all kind of dipping our pinky in the pond trying to, like, get... Doing a podcast is, like, nothing to, like, what Sam does, you know? But I couldn't do this without stuff like what he has done in the space. And this video, again, like, yeah, reiterates the point that, like, Magic is cool, and that's the stuff that he loves about Magic, you know?
Yeah. Just a brilliant way to go about it. And it was so much fun. I put it on thinking, I've got a little bit of time. Let me throw this on in the background before I have to get ready to go. Didn't realize I'd finish it all in one go. I just sat down. Just sat down and watched the whole thing. It's awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Magic's fun.
Magic is so cool. Wow. Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to check that out, but I did really like Sam's Red Deck Wins video.
Yes.
That
I mean,
one in particular really speaks
speaking
to me as a
of
red
chilling
mage.
for something, when he did the tragedy of Audric, like that video.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, not that I don't have an establishing.
Hold on. Put it down. 2 hours and 17 minutes. Cole finally brings up Audric.
I brought him up an hour ago. We've already been here, done that. I have to mention him at least once per hour in order to meet an unknown quota. We got our Doctor Who mention. We mentioned Audric Bloodcursed. What's our next thing? I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, encourage you to watch that video. Okay, let's go to Brews Off the Shelf, the section where we talk about games or decks we're looking to build or have built or whatever. Quinn, I'm going to start off with you because Mike and I have been taking up a lot of the space here.
Jaw's been jabbering.
I see a long list of stuff here. I want to know what the fuck is going on here.
Holy shit.
These are
what
some
is
key cards for my sicko mode strategy of mono black and discard Voltron. So I've been obsessed with the Guy Acklazotz for literal years, like even before the most recent Journey to Ixalan, where we actually got the card. I think Argwell's Bloodfast, and then the backside of that Temple of Acklazotz. I've been rattling the bars on my enclosure, trying to get them to show me the Bat God for years, even before now. So they released the card himself, and naturally I go fucking sicko mode for that. Like, I'm extremely hype. So we put that shit in everything. He's like a Baneslayer angel to me, and we kind of just like treat him like one. You just play that guy, and you can just ride that to
But then
lands,
on
actually.
occasion, he also becomes a land, like no big deal.
Yeah, if somebody blows him up, then you have already been shredding their hand a little bit, so you can just activate the ability on the land to turn him back into a creature, and you're back at it again, hitting them for damage. So we put him in the command zone one time in a sort of like a discard for the sake of discarding deck, which was effective, but didn't hit quite the way that I wanted it to. So several months later, years even, I don't know how long it's been since LCI, but an unspecified
looked it
length
up
of
for you
time
here.
later, we decided to give the Bat Daddy another chance, and this time we chose way more violence.
Hell yeah.
So my game plan now is Aklazot's Voltron, and we're going to win on a three-pronged plan of hand attack to reduce your options available to interact with what I have going on and make it easier for me to just fucking
By the
cut
way,
your
it's
head
nearly
off.
been a year and a half since
Okay, yeah,
Caverns.
so it hasn't been that long, but a year and a half, wow, okay. We have combat damage force multipliers, things that are going to make it so that Bat Daddy punches harder. And we've got absolute fucking bombs of creatures that you can just slam, and if Bat Daddy isn't going to get you there, the additional pressure from these guys will help you. So for the hand attack section, we've got Aklazotz's attack trigger himself. Every turn, you're asking your opponents that they need to discard a card, and if it happens to be a land, Aklazotz will give you like a bat token. Those guys fly, so if you're not getting there with Bat Daddy, you can also put knives on those guys and turn them sideways. They also do a great job of blocking, which you will need them to do because you are going to draw a little bit of aggro for making people discard. And that's fine because Aklazotz has lifelink, so he's going to help you stabilize with all of that. You've also got the like pay life for card draw effects like Unholy Annex and all of that. You want to have some way to like stabilize, and Aklazotz will go a long way to helping you do that. We've also got a burglar rat and a deep cavern bat to really just like get in there and force the issue every once in a while. And Cruel Claw's heist. People say that targeted hand attack sucks in Commander, and hey, maybe it does, but so does my mono black enchantment removal, so we're just going to exile that Smothering Tithe, and I don't have to have this conversation.
And maybe sometimes you could also get it yourself.
And yeah, maybe if I'm feeling particularly generous, we can promise somebody a gift and then cast the card that we ripped from their hand. I like to give the same person that I'm stealing the card from the gift so that at least they don't like get like their opponent is up a card and also I've stolen a spell from them. Like that's a really shitty spot to be in. But you can, just offer them a little treat in exchange for the card that you're ripping. I'm sure they will not feel adequately compensated for the inconvenience, but that's not my problem.
You're playing mono black. You don't give a fuck.
Exactly. I'm looking out for number one. It's avarice, baby. So in my combat damage force multiplier section, we've got the Enduring Tenacity. It's another copy of Sanguine Bond or Veto or whatever. I like this one because it comes with a 1-up mushroom in its pocket. If somebody decides to interact with it, it'll return to the battlefield as just like an enchantment instead of a creature. And that does the, whenever Aklazotz deals combat damage, basically we're going to do that same amount in burn to one of my opponents because Aklazotz has lifelink. We've got Drana, Liberator of Malakir. She's got First Strike, and whenever she deals combat damage to an opponent, she's going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature I control. So if I'm in a situation where I've gone wide with bats or whatever, I can stack those guys up with counters. We can also put counters on our absolute fucking bombs that we'll cover later.
Why is
All of
she
that
always
getting
my
their force multiplied is
101st
good.
card? She's always my 101st.
Dude, you gotta just commit to her. She's so strong.
She is. I really can't deny that. But anyway, yeah. Cool. Also, cool character, by the way.
Very cool character. I will say I avoid her because of the +1/+1 counter stuff. I don't like doing the counter.
Mike, I get it.
Just not fucking interested in taking
Just
up
come
those
on!
little dice or whatever.
I've got
I play
too
a lot
many
of
to put
Magic
'em
on
Yeah.
MTGO, and that just like handles all of that automatically
Yeah.
for me. So I truly just like don't ever think about it. If I am
if
playing
this were
that
on an
in
arena
paper,
client,
then-
I would be going nuts for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
ham sandwich. Just going for it.
Ham sandwich.
If I was playing that in paper, maybe I would make some different considerations. But as it stands, I think it's been fine.
It's for the MTGO meta, so
Yeah, so we'd be a little ruder there, and also just like play cards that maybe you don't want to bother with in paper. Speaking of ways to be ruder, we've got the fucking Blackblade Reforged. I'm here to hit my land drop every turn. That's how you win games. And if you're doing that and you have a flyer in the command zone, put the Blackblade on them. That'll help you cut people's heads off. And I think if you're going to make people discard a card every turn, then you need to be able to close the fucking door on a game. You don't want to prolong your foe's misery. Just put them out of it, cut their heads off. Sword of War and Peace also goes a long way towards doing that. If they do have a card advantage engine and can outpace the amount of discard that I'm asking of them, then I can use the combat damage trigger of the Sword of War and Peace to deal burn damage to them equal to the number of cards in their hand, and it helps me stabilize again because I'll be gaining life equal to the number of cards in my hand.
Sword of X and Y mentioned. Drink, everybody.
Yeah, all right, cheers.
All right, fine.
We haven't even gotten to the bobbleheads yet.
Those actually are a bitch to acquire on MTGO because they're only in the Fallout precons. So if I want to buy the single, they are quite a bit more than your average MTGO single. And you might as well just buy the precons so that you also get the cards that are associated with those. And gamers, I don't have it in me to shell out for those right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Other very cool knives. Yeah, Leyline Axe and Cauldron Complete, both just incredible force multipliers. Double Strike and Trample is pretty important, so if they do have shitty little 1/1 flying blockers, Aclazotz is going to punch right through that with either of these. They offer the trample that we need to close the door on a game. And Cauldron Complete in particular just offers a pretty fucked up set of keywords.
Just a beating in a box.
I need to, where the fuck do I have my Culture Complete? I know I have it somewhere, but what a fucking dumb magic card. And also, just to go back on the Leyline X, because you can't Amber Cleave them in this color combo, so you gotta make do.
Yeah, I can't Amber Cleave them in this color combo.
Cole, Cauldron Complete isn't in your Bloodrick deck? Feels like
keywords. If we let me just take a quick look here. It's this deck box, I'm pretty sure. Let me pull out my backlog version that I literally have not touched. Let me find it here in a second here. I know, hold on. It's got to be here soon.
Literally a second Audric Blood Curse deck built from all of the cards that he has cut from the previous Audric Blood Curse deck.
Are you for real?
That's it's oh, here we go. Yeah. We got it right here.
Fucking called it. Don't at me, anybody. You if you do, you're adding a champion. Okay.
Yeah, this is the equipment. This is the equipment version of that deck. Have you heard of Nazgul Battle Mace? That's also a fucked up card.
Man, that card is fucked up.
Anyway.
Yeah, that one's a weird one. I don't remember exactly what it does because it's one of those.
It has Annihilator on it, you know?
Yeah, it gives the character Annihilator 1 and Trample, I think, and then...
It was from one of those like products of like LOTR things where it was like
that exact one.
They didn't put it anywhere else, Yeah. Menace, Death Touch, Annihilator 1. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card on the battlefield under your control unless they pay 3 life.
Yeah. Just fuck you in particular, you know?
Pretty fucked up things to ask your friends to do. Speaking of fucked up things to ask your friends to do, answer my rotten mouth viper is a question that I'm asking in this Aclazotz deck. That guy, if I've made a bunch of bat tokens, I can crunch them to the rotten mouth viper to reduce its casting cost. And then it enters and it has gets like blight counters or something like that, and makes your opponents do an instance of Torment of Hailfire, like they have to sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card or take. I think this one actually steps it up. I think it's 4 damage or something. Yeah 4.
I have this
is particularly rude.
I have this in my Lazav Wearer Facers deck and my Rakdos the Muscle deck. And every time it comes up, I'm like, all right, guys, I have to explain this card. But once you get it, it won't be long before you get rid of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Other rude things that you can do to your friends is make them answer your Vein Ripper or your Speed Demon.
Speed Demon.
I'm putting this card in basically every black deck. If you answer its demands of increasing speed, which is pretty fucking easy to do if you have a flying commander. On your end step, you lose a life and draw a card equal to your speed. So you can max out at drawing 4 cards every end step. And if you have a sufficient quantity of removal or whatever, it's kind of really hard for your opponents to get out from under that.
Speed Demon is maybe one of the few cards from Aether Drift that I prefer in the yellow frame.
Yeah.
Really?
That's
Is it because
cool.
of the blue pops on it, or
The blue pops a lot more, and the purple of the vehicle itself pops too. It doesn't blend in with the purple of the background of the other version. So yeah, it's like the only one that I'm like, hell yeah, get in yellow background. But it's not like the other one isn't just as sick. The regular version, I have no idea what I'm looking at the entire time.
Yeah,
We did
that is a
establish
thing
that,
that
yeah.
I feel about that as well. But also, I don't know, it looks sick as fuck.
It's so crazy. And
Yeah,
I
here's
love this card.
I'll go on record that I recently made a Blue Sky post where I love artwork that are black magic cards or black color identity cards, whether it's whatever color combination, and the composition is glowing blue in a dark background, man. And yes, okay, the coherency of the Speed Demon artwork is a little rough, and if you go look at the logo that I did for episode whatever, I got the hand in that little cutout, but I didn't realize that I thought the plume of energy coming off of him was actually his singular eyeball, and I failed to realize that he has exhaust pipes as eyeballs with his horns, and I was just like, oh, that's so dumb. Whatever, the hand part's cool, but yeah, just the coherency of it is very kind of flat, and you can't really where the fuck is his head? I didn't know the first time
No
around.
idea.
I've learned my lesson. But
I do like to do the search on Scryfall of art, quote, Speed Demon, end quote, and show me all of the cards with Speed Demon. It is a joy to look at. I do like to see it.
okay. Oh yeah, because you
Wait,
get the
wait.
last ride and. Did you just have your mind blown? Did you know?
Wait.
Did you know Scryfall's the goat?
The Scryfall is the goat, actually.
Well, hold on. Oh my god, they really do have it in a lot more cards than I thought. That's so sick.
Almost
Dismal
anytime
Backwater,
you see
just
Winter,
casually-
you are also seeing the Speed Demon, because he's possessed by him.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Pride of the Road has Speed Demon in the background. I did not know that. Grim Bobble is in the Speed Demon, Speed Demon's vehicle. That's so sick. The
It's
last
also just
ride.
like the bobblehead is the Speed Demon's head.
Well, that should make it a lot easier for me to make out the head of the Speed Demon on the card, you'd think.
that
but,
is.
You would think, yes.
That's
However,
insane. That is awesome.
That's pretty sick. 8
Yeah,
cards
I
plus
like to look at
the
it.
speed token tracker, which I really like the look of. The Start Your Engines looking like Speed Racer kind of cutouts. Yeah, it was awesome.
I think
Aether
that
Drift
looked
had some
really
hits.
It
I
did.
am
Trust
Aether
me.
Drift's biggest defender. I think that set owned. I had a lot of fun exploring every color combination and all of the legendary creatures in it. Huge fan of Aether Drift. Thanks, Wizards.
I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
I
allowed.
liked it. I liked it well enough. I got some cards from it. Hey, good job.
Oh, I agree, but I'm not I'm not apologizing for it. Like people who hate it, like okay, good for you. Who cares? But Haunt the Network is a fucked up card. Like you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
dude.
I love that card.
It's so sick.
cool.
You know?
I had a draft that I did where I had this Grixis Artifacts and Vehicles deck, and we had 2 copies of Haunt the Network, and boy, if I resolved that, I do not lose that game.
Yeah,
that shit
dude.
feels incredible.
So awesome.
Fucking
So good.
so good.
I'll take that at 5 mana, please and thank you. I would like that
Yeah,
very
5
much.
mana win the game, sure.
Yeah.
I still
Alright,
love that radio.
Back
Lois
on
thing,
your
even though
other
it's not
banger
good.
bombs in this deck.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
We do got one more.
That's right.
I
Oh,
got
true.
Shouldered Whispering one, who is a bomb that I kind of only play on MTGO, but she really does just like ask your opponents to answer a very difficult question. Just really an annoying card. Big fan of her work.
Yeah, been on the receiving end of her too many times when you only have one creature on. You're just like, fuck.
Yep, you just fucking sacrifice that, and then if you can't cast 2 creatures, then you do not get to have creatures, which makes it very easy for me to just get in there for combat damage.
And that's why you play a Mardu legend that makes creatures as it enters.
True. It's true.
Fucking Nary of Crackling Vanguard from the Mardu Precon, my queen. Looking very forward to playing that card. It's a key, actually, but anyway.
Looks so sick.
A gameplay experience with Aquazots that I had him and a Sword of War and Peace, and there's this gamer over in the corner playing the new Alila, and their deck is like all instant speed interaction to make fairies so that they can combat damage good, and we're just like, okay, so they're in a situation where they're tapped the fuck out, they can't interact with what I'm about to do, and they have 8 cards in hand and are at a life total where I punch them for I think 7 with Aquazots, and then they lose 8 life from my Sword of War and Peace, and it puts them at 3, and then the player after me goes and like cleans up and finishes their life total. They're like 46 life, but they have 0 cards in hand, and the player after them has 1 card in hand, and they're like 20 life. The fucking Alila mage salts off in the chat. They're like extremely upset, saying that like I can't threat assess or whatever, and I'm like not looking at the field objectively, and I'm just like, my guy, you have 8 cards in hand and you were playing removal typo. I'm gonna cut your head off. And they're like, but the 46 life is like that's not a problem, and I'm just like, bro, I just showed you I'm a commander damage deck. Go to bed. No, the life gain isn't a problem for me.
Hold on. Wait. We have to talk about how underrated telling someone to go to bed.
To go to bed is? It's the greatest thing ever. It's so funny. Go to bed.
Go to bed implies so much. It's so funny. Go to bed is like you're a cranky baby. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. No. Every time.
So good.
Every time I'm being a grumpy baby at home, my girlfriend will come around the corner or whatever. She's like, is someone being a grumpy baby? Does someone need to go to bed? And I'm just like, fuck you. Yes, I need a nap.
Damn.
I will go have a nap then. Screw you. She's right. And Quinn is also right in every time I'm like, time to do the most bullshit thing you've ever conceivably heard of in a commander game. And Quinn's like,
what are you doing? Go to bed.
Go to bed. Go to bed.
I think I picked that up when I was like very young.
I have all this interaction.
I have all playing stuff. This. Yeah.
And I might not be at 46 life. There is somebody in higher life total and everything. You're so bad at... And Faye just says, go to bed. Go to bed.
Cuts head off.
That's
so what do you say back to that?
Good narrative.
Not a fucking
Amazing
thing.
narrative.
They didn't say a word in the chat after that.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that? How do you come back?
Well, you don't.
Go to bed?
You
go to bed.
You log off and you go to fucking bed.
You go to bed. That's so funny.
I picked that up when I was very young because I wanted to tell people to go to hell, but I couldn't say that around my parents. I was just like, you know what? We're just going to go to bed. That hits harder,
That's
actually.
So funny.
And
it does hit harder. Hell, abstract. People don't even believe in it. It shows that you're angry at them and maybe they succeeded in ruffling your feathers. Go to bed. It's a real place that we all know about, and it's also a place for little babies like you right now. This is you tell an insolent child. It's so good. That's so funny.
I wish I was that funny. I wish.
Yeah, Cole, we wish to. Anyway, get his ass. Look at that. You didn't.
Yeah.
You took that too serious, Cole. I don't mean it. What do you?
No, I don't hate. Look, the ladies at work laugh for me, Mike. It's all that matters. You know, it's funny. I work with someone on a small team at work, and one of them at first when I joined the team, she wasn't sure if I was being serious or not. She didn't get my sense of humor yet. Now she like can't stop laughing, and I'm like, okay, not that this isn't good for my ego, but like I'm not that funny. Okay, relax. But I will try. I'll try. But you're laying it on a little thick for me here.
That's so funny.
Just a little bit. I'm like, but hey, you know.
That's
but then I make my
really
girlfriend
funny.
laugh, and that's the real goal. So
That's all
Oh,
that
isn't it the
matters.
best? Isn't it the best to make your partner laugh? It is so much fun. Like, we're both comedians too, so we're always just like jabbing at each other, and it's the best. She's the most funny. Her style of comedy is morbid and pointed comedy, and I'm silly, stupid boy.
A little bit of black humor here and there.
Oh
you know?
yeah. So we have ourselves a good time, and man, she does this amazing joke in her set about me that I just I don't want to say it on here because it's not my joke to tell, but like she
I don't know
nails
how
it.
many times my girlfriend and I, you know, we'll swear at each other and call each other names. Always in
Oh,
good
all the
fun,
time.
never
Yeah.
anything malicious or anything. And out of context, everyone's like, "Oh my god, like, how could you say that?" And I'm like,
Pearl
"Well, first of all, I
clutching.
guess you had to be there. And second of all, if you take things too seriously, I don't know what to tell
Uh-huh.
you, right? You know, but." Every once in a blue moon, the only real noise besides me yapping my ass off doing this podcast or whatever and being super noisy, my girlfriend and I will be just gut busting laughing with each other. And it's the greatest thing because, like, you know, you don't know what the fuck we're laughing about if you're outside of these walls of this apartment. But I'll tell you this, that shit was fucking hilarious. You had to be there. You really do.
Hell yeah, dude.
That rules.
All right, who's next?
All right, Mike.
Me?
What do you got? Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What do you got?
Okay.
What's going on? What
All
are you
right.
thinking about, or what do you got?
So we're talking about brews, right? We're talking about brews
Yeah.
off
Do you
the
got
shelf.
something? Do you want something you're going to work on? Do you got something you're tweaking that you've played before?
A couple things. Let me pull up. Let me pull up the deck builder online. Let me just get on here. Let me just pull up a couple of these guys. So okay.
Show us the money. What do you got?
So here's the thing. I love brewing. I go online, I put in a bunch of stuff, and I go, this is really fun. I spend too much time with it. Usually don't build it. That's just how it goes, right? But there are some things that make it. One of those things was I built the Master Transcendent a couple of months ago. I mentioned this before. Sultai Mill, and I steal cards from people's graveyards, make them green 3/3s. Pretty sick. Looking forward to having the new Teval from the Commander deck in there. And Sin from Final Fantasy will slot right in.
Yeah,
really
beautiful.
cool stuff coming for that deck. But the thing is, I'm brewing online. I'll pop open Architect. I'll pop open Moxfield. I use both of them depending on my mood. And I've got the Alesha who laughs at death. Who laughs at fate. Excuse me. And I'm still whittling away at that list, and it's just exactly what I like to do. It's Mardu. It's Rakdos.
It's Rakdos. Yeah.
It's Rakdos Reanimator, and it's like exactly in my wheelhouse. And so I'm kind of like, how do I make this different for myself, right? So that's what I'm working on right now. But I've also got a Marchesa Dealer of Death list going right now, the Grixis Marchesa from OTJ, where it's also about milling my opponents and reanimating stuff from their graveyard. So who knows how good that's going to be. I've got that Bador
It's
from
good.
the Abzan Precon and Tarkir. Like there's lots of stuff going, but the real thing that's taking the most time to work on right now is I have this Grixis Upkeeps deck with the 9th Doctor and Clara Oswald, where I picked black with Clara. 9th Doctor's is it. Whole deal is when the 9th Doctor untaps in your untap step, you get an additional upkeep phase after this one. And I want to get a bunch of upkeep so I can get a bunch of effects. And that deck has been a lot of fun. It's obviously been overshadowed by the fact that Obeka got printed in OTJ, and everybody was like, Grixis Upkeep is so sick. And I have to be like, you're playing it
I
wrong.
was on it
Like,
before it was cool.
Yeah.
I did do that, but also I wrote an article for Commander's Herald comparing the two and being like, these are going to be very different decks. You don't want to just pick any upkeep
one.
stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of different stuff to it. So I've really enjoyed that deck. The thing is, because it's less powerful to wait for an upkeep to get an effect, WotC has been printing way less upkeep stuff. Take a look at type at the beginning of your upkeep into Scryfall for the last 4 years, you won't see much compared to over the years of design. The thing is,
more
because I
recently,
already
it's
have
at
it
the
in
beginning of your
Grixis.
main phase.
Yeah, exactly. Your pre-combat main phase is becoming more prominent. And also end step. Stuff triggering at your end step because then you want the value. So upkeeps are kind of like fading, or the effects are really good now when they finally make a new upkeep thing.
Yeah, true.
So that said, I love the Ninth Doctor, and I've been thinking, what if I made one with the other two pairs? So I've got the Grixis one, so I've added black. What if I add white and green? I'll find a Doctor's Companion for both and start working on that. And that's what I've been toying with. And especially with Smile at Death being something from the new Tarkir set that's on its way, the new mythic that's coming. It makes me think maybe there's a chance I can gather up enough upkeep stuff and make a version of this deck that I shuffle in the black cards when I'm playing the black version. I shuffle in the white cards for the white version. I shuffle in the green cards
modular
for the
deck.
green version.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm slowly working on right now. So those are the ones that are taking up the most of my time. The modular upkeep deck, the new Rakdos Alesha, Marchesa Dealer of Death, and the new Abzan Baedor Face Commander, or rather the Dragon Commander from the
precon Dragon. Yeah.
I don't know who the Face Commander is supposed to be for the precons.
I think it's supposed to be the dragons, right? I would think.
I think it varies because the Mardu one's face commander is the Zergo.
Okay.
And Nerev's in the 99.
I guess they're kind of doing a blend of it. I mean, they're both. So, God, that is such a. See, this is the thing. Mike, you and I think are kind of similar in terms of what are we doing conceptually, and what do we work what are we working on now that we have worked on?
Yeah,
or something that's been simmering for months. And then what's the new stuff coming out, and what can we do with that, right? And
yeah, because you want to find what's going to scratch that itch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
it is easy for me to look at okay, so I had this zombie deck for a long time, and they just printed Temet in the Aether Drift precon. I got the precon. I just shuffled stuff around, and there it is. You know what I mean? That's a lot easier than having to get into a deck building site and then be like, okay, this concept. I've always really liked Zevlor from Baldur's Gate, but I have been working on this Marchesa Grixis spells deck. So which one am I prioritizing?
Yeah.
And so while Zevlor is I want to play head games and I want to play, whatever dumb garbage is available that only targets one person.
Worst fears.
Worst fears or blood-soaked insight or, Covenant of Minds, just a bunch of really even Haunt the Network makes the cut, right? It's just
hell yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's I want to play all that in Zevlor, and then I'm looking at Marchesa, so it's different enough, but I'm okay, pick one. They're similar, but they're still different. They're similar. Pick one. Stop it.
So
and then a new set comes out, and I'm like, ooh, Zergo's got two versions.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make both of them.
It's for me. The set was made for me. So okay. So what I find really interesting, because we've talked about modular commander decks where you have a package to slot in and out, and you being oh, I gotta pick one between Zevlor and Marchesa, right? And I'm we are in the Insano Magic Christmas Land Commander time right now, where we have nearly 30,000 cards to work with, right? And if not, we're there already. And we have so many different conceivable ways. We got people who can make quote unquote 200 card decks and 100 card singleton and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
You could make it
Golden Age.
Modular decks are insane with commanders and all this other stuff, and now I'm sitting here, I'm can you pull what I did with my Captain Howler deck and have two not dissonant but two slightly dissimilar concepts and marry them together? If Zevlor cares about you committing crimes, why can't Marchesa also be in the deck? Or maybe you have a deck that can work with the both of them, and the only thing you need to do is swap their places in the deck that is still satisfying, and yet the change of the commander adds that extra axis depending on the game, you know, like where can you mentally do it? Can you mentally compromise and be able to do that, you know? Like that's where we're at with Commander right now. It's crazy.
I think it's I want that, and I think stuff like, you know, I've got Ashen Powder in both versions of the deck, which is put target creature from an opponent's graveyard into play under your control, right?
Yeah.
That's great. But then, you know, I would not play head games in Marchesa, Dealer of Death, right? I would not play Invoke the Winds in Marchesa, Dealer of Death. I would not play Mind Funeral or Rakdos' Return in Marchesa. But, I mean, Marchesa is in the list for Zevlor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Marchesa's kind of been like, okay, I'm trying so hard to reduce the amount of creatures in this deck so that most of my spells are, you know, reanimate, and then I pay one, and I look at the top 2 cards, put one into my graveyard, and then I can play, you know, Breach the Multiverse, or like From the Catacombs, or I can play another, I can reanimate again, or Live or Die, or, you know. So
whatever,
Yeah, Marchesa's interesting in that you can pay 2 mana for a Pongify because then it draws you a card, puts something in your yard that you're going to bring back, you know, or it puts another thing in their yard too that you can also steal from them. Whereas Zevlor, to me, I'm like, I want all the dog shit cards that I think are bad for Commander. Like, I want... You know what the real thing is with Zevlor? Is that I think Cruel Ultimatum is a great fucking Magic card. It is dope as hell.
Rips.
It's messed up. You know what I want to do with Cruel Ultimatum? I want to pay
Copy
2
it
extra
twice.
mana and do it to everybody.
Again, yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. You mean
So
I
hey,
get
hold
to
on.
tell
Time out. Is Heretic's Punishment getting in any of these other decks?
Man,
Heretic's
that card
Punishment,
is
the
so
mill one?
close to being good.
The one,
I love it.
that's the one we talked about.
The
one
one
where
from
you pay for, from Innistrad, OG Innistrad, the one where you pay 3 in a red to put
yes.
top 3 cards
So that
in your
was
graveyard.
That's currently in my sideboard for Rakdos the Muscle because I couldn't get it to work.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, maybe, yeah.
well, definitely not Zevlor because Zevlor gives a shit about spells. Like, it doesn't want to
Spells,
activate ability. But I think this for Marchesa is less interesting because Marchesa wants stuff in your graveyard, not mine. So that's why I haven't considered it for either of these.
Damn,
decks.
another point off for Heretic's Punishment. What a shame.
But Heretic's Punishment is great in my Rakdos the Muscle deck because Rakdos the Muscle has a ton of fucking cards that are like 8 mana and like get cost reduced, and I play them for that. But, you know, I'm going to mill this Shadow of Mortality. I'm going to dome you for 15.
Just just
Hell
dome
yeah.
them, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm also going to bring it back with this Apprentice Necromancer, sacrifice it for 15 cards.
Yeah, there we go.
No big deal. Like, it's great for that deck. But in these two, it's not clicking. I've considered it.
Shame.
Not clicking.
But yeah, dang,
Well,
that's a...
we'll try it again next set.
It is a shame for the card. It is one that I think about often. I got a foil one just because.
Me too, dude. It's still on my desk. I haven't found the spot for it yet, and I keep
rips.
fucking looking at it.
You just look out the window and just be like,
Someday I'll have a spot for Heretic's
day,
Punishment.
there's a home, yeah. There's somewhere, somehow. But damn, yeah, that is quite a chunk of different brews you got there, Mike.
What
That's
can I
crazy.
say, buddy? I can't stop. The cards are
Yeah.
interesting, and 100 cards is too few at this point.
Well, and
I
not
don't
even
like
100. Not even 100. It's like 60 to 62 or 63 cards, you know? Like, it's hard. It's hard. I'll use this to springboard to kind of talk about
what you got for us?
my Francisco Bruce Tarl deck is this thing of like I've had these elements of wanting to have a dedicated partner deck with backgrounds, and it's changed over time, and this is the end result. And of the couple times I played it so far, I haven't gotten the reps in that I wanted to, but it hasn't quite hit. Hasn't quite got there just yet. And I'm not going to sell it too short just yet. But, you know, sometimes I have Francisco out and he's just a 0-1. And I don't have a pirate out and I don't have the stuff. And it's like, shit. And sometimes I get Bruce Tarl out and it's Bruce Tarl. He's doing the work. That's what he's there supposed to do. Give something lifelink and double strike and go nuts. And he's worked out with some of the backgrounds that I've had. I had the one that makes those soldiers. And, like, the phrasing... I looked at the card and I was confused about the phrase.
Soldiers.
So there's a background that says if your commander attacks the opponent with the highest life, then you attack all of your opponents with 1/1s, right? And I was like, wait, I thought you just made a 1/1. I didn't realize you basically made your commander Adeline.
Yep.
But only if you're attacking the person with the tide or the highest life total, you know? And it's like, okay. So I'm starting to get the deck. I'm starting to see the nuances. I'm starting to have a better appreciation of some of these backgrounds. And then I was like, I need to grab a Tavern Brawler just because, like, I just need those times where I need Francisco or Bruce Tarl to punch in the face, right? But this was also a deck that I'm like, okay, it started off as Cecily and Elmar in 4-color non-white. And then I made that Yidris backgrounds. And it still wasn't clicking and it still wasn't the right thing. So this was like the next attempt. And I also initially thought of making it a Sofina and we talked about this last episode and I can't remember the guy's name that makes
Wernog?
Wernog. The clue token guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do I have them in the deck and then I swap them out for Francisco and Bruce Tarl, and is that good enough or is that strong enough? And it's like this whole thing of like, how do I meld all these ideas together perfectly? And I think I'll figure it out eventually. But it also doesn't help that we have Mardu out again, and now I gotta make a 4th goddamn Mardu deck. Like, you know, I don't need a cycle of Shocklands to help kickstart the mana base, and I don't need all the talismans and all this other stuff. But it's like, oh my god, how do I get away with it? But anyway, so the reason, the thing that really didn't help how this Bruce Tarl and Francisco deck didn't get it, the first impression wasn't great, was because I decided to play it on Wumbo Wednesdays over on MTG Lexicon, and it was a fucking nightmare. So, Mike, let me sell this to you, right?
Please tell me. I need to understand.
So, MTG Lexicon has been mostly a group of guys down in California who've been streaming for this year 10 years. They've been doing Commander gameplay on Twitch for 10 years. They initially did it. Brandon's the godfather of the whole project. He, you know, he's the Tony Stark of the Avengers, making everyone look and sound cool. Did the whole design, pays out the nose for a bunch of stuff. Right, well, no big deal. Then, pandemic hit, views went down. Price of the studio that they were renting out went up. They're like, this isn't lucrative. We're not making the money. We're not breaking even. We got to call it. We're going to go full remote. Here we are. We're also going to bring on Lenny. We're going to bring on Quinn. They brought me in, and we got Joe also joining with us. So then it's like, okay, guys, we're streaming Saturdays. Some of the old hosts are like, I'm going to be real. I'm working on Saturdays. I can't come out. Some people got some family stuff. Some people are going to school. They're like, Saturday nights, not really working out, you know?
Yeah.
So, what do we do? And then, of course, there's some dissatisfaction with the direction Magic's been going. Can't blame them. They're like, printer go burr. That's my commitment to Magic. No big deal, right? We're like, hey, what is a day during the week that we can make this work for some people? They're like, I don't know, Wednesday. We're quote unquote bringing back Wumbo Wednesdays. You know, Wumbo from fucking SpongeBob, where Patrick's like studying Wumbo. I don't know, just fucking.
No, you gotta fill me in on this one because I don't know this one so good.
Okay. So in SpongeBob, there was a utility belt from the superhero, the aged senior superheroes of Bikini Bottom. Merman and Barnacle Boy. And or it was the villain, I can't remember, but the belt,
it's Mermaid Man.
The belt was an M for mini, and it was supposed to shrink stuff, I think. And then they flipped it upside down, and it was supposed to make things grow. And Patrick's like, it's M for whatever and W for Wumbo. And they're like, Patrick, this makes zero sense, but it's a cartoon, so his logic was sound. And they're just going around hitting people with the Wumbo. But the guy's just basically like, we'll just call it Wumbo Wednesdays because Wumbo Wednesday Knight Commander. I don't fucking know. It's the most nonsensical naming convention.
Okay.
One of the guys who we had, JPack, he has a soundboard, so he puts in Wumbo and he just hits the button and he hits look at this graph. Like, it's a whole whatever. It's absolute chaos. I'd have to send you the VOD because like it's insanity. But anyway,
it's nuts.
It's and like we had tech issues because someone decided that they had an uber wide screen that's like I don't know what the ratio is, but it's like 3400 by 14 whatever ratio. So we're trying to like fit it in OBS to like fit the ratio, and it's like super compressed. We're just like, oh my god. And JPack's in the background fiddling with his stream labs whatever thing, hitting the soundboard. And he's like, we're like, can you do your turn? He's like, hold on, I nearly gotten. And then he hits the button and it's whatever sound effect going on. Joe and I are like trying to keep the stream together from going off the rails completely. And I'm like, everyone's tech issues, and now JPack's doing this, and Joe's like, Cole, look at your fucking board state, you piece of shit. What the fuck do you think? And we're just
Yeah.
No game of Magic is being played. At least no one's brain is in it 100%. Meanwhile, Matt's in the corner being like, I'm playing this Selesnya +1 counters deck with, as I said, this totally fake, not real, not legal Magic the Gathering card. And he's like, Cole, this was made and given as a gift from Wizards of the Coast to some random person. It's a real card, but it's basically like Rule 0 silver border nonsense. Absolute chaos. Meanwhile, I'm playing Bruce Tarl and Francisco, and I'm just not hitting anything. Nothing is working. I got no backgrounds. I ramped. I played my commanders, and I was like, I guess I'm going to turn this 3/3 sideways, giving them double strike and lifelink. Absolute barbarity nonsense going on. We've now done 2 of these Wumbo Wednesday streams in a row, and
Jesus.
it ran a little bit smoother last time, and I think we're gonna try to keep doing it. But the energy between what we do on Saturdays, where everything is nearly working as intended, versus Wednesday, where it's the most like insano, everything can go wrong scenario. Yeah. Also, I would expect nothing less from anyone who is part of the NTG Lexicon crew, because it's just absolute chaos all the way down.
Out of your mind.
So yeah, maybe not the best venue for
trying it out.
Introducing a brand new deck.
No. So I've learned my lesson for the next time, if and when I show up.
Yeah, play something reliable.
Yeah, this is a deck that's going to work. I tried it, tested in the trenches, done the whole thing. I can only hope I can get this Bruce Tarlin Francisco deck to work, because if it doesn't work, I'm tearing it apart for fucking Mardu Dragon Spring Season. I wish I had the Mardu. I wish I had that gold Sabertooth shirt on right now for fucking Mardu Summer. Cause,
hot Mardu Summer.
If these 2 don't work, I will use the components to make Narrative Heart of the Storm, because that card has got my fucking attention,
That card is cool. I was not on it until I realized, Myriad. Okay. It kind of reads as like it's another token deck. It just wants to go off.
Ball Lightning Typal deck, we could do that.
It's also a place for all of your dash creatures.
Oh, yeah, true. It does synergize. True.
Does it? Wait, what? Am I reading this thing wrong?
You dash
as long as it entered the battlefield this turn, it gets.
Are we
damage.
talking about Narrative Heart?
I'm not talking about the pre-con version.
Crackling Vanguard. Okay, see that one. The pre-con one is the one I like. The one I dislike is the one that you like.
The main set one. Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't care for that one as much.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? So there was the leak that came out. We don't talk about leaks until after the fact, and then say, yes, we knew there was a leak or whatever. So the pre-con version was leaked. And Quinn and I talked about it, and I immediately got started brewing it because I was like, if this is the only preview that I got to work with, we'll see what it works with, right? And it's interesting. I like the card. I think it's interesting. But to me, I just like the design simplicity of the main set version of just like, your stuff deals double damage if it came out now. Do with that what you will. And I'm like, cool, I'll play Inferno Titan and I'll fucking figure the rest out.
It is a very clean line of text. I
like,
gotta give it
it's
that.
not superly flashy. Like, I wish maybe there was a bit more mechanical complexity to it, but I can work with that. That's what I'm here for, you know?
I get that that's the appeal, but it just doesn't hit me in the right spot the way that this other one does. Like,
yeah. Making goblin tokens and then doing stuff based off the different type of tokens you have is very cool.
Pretty sick. Cool. I'll say that the other one, like the main set Nirav, is gonna end games quick. Like that, and that to me is kind of like, oh, but I like a long game. I like Taste Opulent Oligarch. I like Aristocrats. I want to have a chance to set up everything. And
fair enough.
Don't take this from me. But at the same time, it's like that's the perfect challenge for that type of deck, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
here's the thing, right? When we're in the environment where red has gotten a lot of damage doubling effects on legendary creatures, like.
Almost too many.
We start seeing, like, we saw Torbrand. Sulfim. We got O'Hare Axonil of just being like, what's his power? Deal that much in damage, you know? Like, that's sort of the insanity. This narrative, Heart of the Storm, gives me a puzzle of, okay, how can I maximize a creature entering the battlefield dealing damage? First of all, I like turning creatures sideways, so anything with haste, like, this is my thing. But it only applies in the context of the here and the now. And if that's red burning bright, then that's what I'm here to do, and that's what I'm about, right? If it's what happens afterward when creatures, like, lose it, like, okay, how many flicker effects can I put in the deck? Reanimator, do I do Shadow Clones with, like, Flame Shadow Conjuring and that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Or that
Duplicate.
Dash guy. Like,
Dash, Myriad, you know.
Flame Rush Rider.
Flame Rush
Rider. Like, you know, what avenue do I choose, and how do I how do I blend it all together coherently that feels satisfying and not completely...
Nightmare Adept.
Yeah, you know, like, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. I'm just interested to see what happens with this, but I also know that, like, the other narrative is, like, way more mechanically interesting because of what it asks you to do.
Not necessarily. I think they're both asking you to do sort of similar, but different things, and they're both interesting questions to answer.
I think they would work well together, like, especially if you're going the Myriad way.
Mm-hmm. And it,
like,
play your Zergo.
Storm in the 99 of my deck for sure is.
But speaking of that narrative, let's go over to Quinn and see what he got cooking.
I've selected this as my arena champion, basically. I was like, Wizards, show me the Mardu Dragon, and Wizards was like, okay, here's that, and he's perfect for token aggro, you're welcome. So yeah, thank you for my life, Wizards. I go back to my shelf of ingredients for Mardu aggro soup. We start chopping up some veggies, we put all those ingredients in a pile, and we focus on stuff that, like, enters or attacks and makes tokens. Then we add a little bit of that Shadow Clone Jutsu technology like we talked about, because we're looking for differently named tokens, and all of those are tokens. That answers that ask pretty well. And then there's a couple of ways to, like, break the legend rule specifically in the context of these kinds of Shadow Clone tokens, and then cheat the Myriad and step triggers. And all of that comes out with a pretty good blend of ingredients and a delicious soup. Of course, we're on both Zergos. My, like, main, I think, the thesis enchantment for this deck is probably going to be Kadric Soul Kindler. This guy says the legend rule doesn't apply to tokens you control. And whenever another non-token legendary permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. The token gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So in this case in particular, I'm trying to like ramp so that I can play Kadric, and then I can play Nereve with the mana up to activate or pay for the ability and get a token copy of Nereve that's allowed to attack that turn. So we get the enter the battlefield abilities of both of those, and then I get the attack trigger. And then I can bank those cards for later, because Nereve wants you to have attacked with a commander, and then you can access all of the cards that he exiles. And he exiles cards for the number of differently named tokens that you control. So we're looking to just spam all kinds of different tokens. This is a bookkeeping hell deck, and I've signed myself up for that.
Yeah.
We've got just fucking Offspring. I've got Shadow Clones. I've got Anim Pakal. I've got a bunch of Goblin Rabble Masters and Kranko. The Shadow Clone technology package includes the Jolly Balloon Man, Delina Wild Mage, Ortheon Hero of Lava Brink, Mirage Phalanx in the top end, as well as the Master Multiplied, who's going to help us cheat the end step triggers of Mobilize and Myriad and all of that stuff for Shadow Clones in general.
I have to ask, because I'm looking at this list too right now. First card I'm confused by, I'll say, has to be Overlord of the Baelmerk, personally. Like,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, just because it's like, yeah, it's a strong card. It's really great. But I'm like, I don't see it on the clone or the token plan. So is it just like a strong card that you kind of like card advantage your way through, or it's a clone target?
I think this is that I'm just cycles pilled, and so I have Overlord of the Boiler Bilges because shadow cloning that is extremely strong.
It's so sick,
Overlord
yeah.
of the Mistmoors makes a bunch of tokens.
Exactly.
And if I have 2 of 3 Overlords that are on color, I really like to play the other one too.
I hear you. Okay, well that makes sense.
It's also just like hard card advantage. Like I cast that guy, I mill some cards, and put a creature into my hand that I can then cast the next turn. I think that all of that is acceptable.
I'll say I love any deck that's like looking at Kaya Spirit's Justice. Ooh, hell yeah. What a card. So cool, so interesting. Haven't found a way to play it right yet, but man, I like it. What a card.
Yeah, I think I can make like shadow clones and then exile those and turn a token that I have, like a goblin token, into a real copy of the thing that was a shadow clone. So I'm like doing all sorts of juggling of things to turn a thing into a thing and cheat the downsides. And all of that is going to be a very fun dance for me. There's also another Kaya that's just like a straight up token doubler. So I might look at including that one as well.
That's
but I
in the
really wanted to
pre-con.
just like see what this one did
Is
in
it? Oh,
context.
jeez. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that
sick.
Kaya's in the pre-con.
I, for my token doubling, selected Elspeth Stormslayer, who has a similar ability.
Unbelievable.
Quinn,
Whenever
that
one or
card
more
is not a
tokens-
$5 card!
Okay, I understand that that's not a $5 card. However, I was
the only real
interested in
$40
playing
one.
all of the new Tarkir Dragonstorm cards. And
Yeah,
Elspeth was on theme and on color, so obviously we're going to put the Chase Mythic in the
Hands
thing
down.
and see if the Chase
Oh,
Mythic
yeah.
is fucking worth the cost.
She
or
also
whatever.
heavily synergizes. Well, I mean, she synergizes pretty much with every single clan in the set. But, like, in this case,
and
specifically.
putting a +1/+1 counter on each creature that I control and giving them all flying is
Flying.
going to be fucking
Yeah.
ruinous.
Insane.
This will
Insano
end
mode.
games. She'll
this-
also copy my shadow clones. Like, it's
Okay.
fucked, dude.
And not for nothing, the +1 makes you 2 white soldiers, which with Nereve in the command zone is already like
Yeah,
you've got
Yeah.
that's another card that I get to look at.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So, I think, Quinn, you kind of nailed something that I really love about having, like, an established identity of a deck when you make it. Is like, what is this card from? What are the set cards I can keep in the deck and then flesh it out with, like, whatever, Universes Beyond or completely dissonant things or whatever, right? I like it when I see decks that aren't 100% tied to the mechanical and, like, lore of the deck, but still keep some of those cards in it. And it's like, okay, new set's coming out. What are you gonna do? Have Nerev and put new Elspeth in because Windmill Slam synergizes with it super duper well. What else do you do with that? I don't know. Put in Ocelot Pride and start making copies of all the tokens.
Play that.
Yeah, just
that'd be really annoying.
It'd be really fucking rude. So
perfect.
Just
I mean, like,
look.
Yeah, there's a lot of goblin making in this deck, but there's also shit ton of squad. Like, that part's so sick.
What a cool freaking mechanic.
I think squad being I think my biggest big brain play for squad here is the Wasteland Raider in particular, because I can make a bunch of goblin tokens and then squad this Wasteland Raider, and when it enters, each player sacrifices a creature. Usually when you're playing a fleshbag marauder type thing, you sacrifice the fleshbag, but I can upgrade my goblin tokens into 4/3s like this, and that feels extremely just galaxy brain.
Yeah.
I mean, not just your goblin tokens. You've also got those warrior tokens that are going away at the next end step. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. Just
the Jolly
who
Balloon
cares?
Man.
They're going
balloons.
anyway.
Yeah, like you like
and sacrifice all of my shadow clones for value.
Exactly. This is a fun list, Quinn. This is pretty sick.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun putting it together. I did want to make sure that I played all of the Mardu cards. So we're on Crackling Doom and Mardu removal spell, Inevitable Defeat.
Oh yeah, I caught the Boltwang Marauder in the creatures list. I saw that thing.
Yes, that's my classic. This is a Mardu card. We're gonna play that. I have a foil from back when I first started playing back in Throne of Eldraine, and I was just looking at cool cards. I liked that a lot.
Magenta lightning and stuff's gotta look fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looks really fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then we're playing the all-out assault, Mardu Ascendancy, the Barren Step Siege, and then Offspring's Revenge.
Yeah,
I just
Mardu-ass
copied
Mardu
your
cards.
deck on Moxfield because I'm gonna tool with this list. I think.
Hell yeah, dude!
Give it to me.
I mean, this is how it happens.
See
this
your
is how
work
I have
in
so
2
many
weeks.
decks I'm working on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff fucking going on here, and the Cadric and Delina is gonna do a lot of fucking work here.
Even Rianya, who isn't you get 1 plus the amount of instants and sorceries that you play. So I think once a turn getting a guaranteed no effort, you just slam Rianya and you get yourself a clone. I'm in for that.
I do think that she would be a good include. I just have no idea what to fucking cut because I'm fighting for my fucking life trying to figure out the balance between the guys who make the shadow clones and the guys who are worth shadow cloning.
Oh yeah, I mean, I if you don't mind, I have one cut that I'm thinking might make sense. Searslicer Goblin is great in the early game.
Cut that.
No, you can't. You can't come here and
you
suggest
don't know me,
that
dude.
to Quinn.
Searslicer's my fucking boy.
You can't do that.
I'm sorry, but it's the one that I'm looking at. I've cut it.
This
from
is
my list right
Quinn's new favorite card. You cannot
I do
come
respect
in here and do that.
that.
Raid triggers
Searslicer
after
is my
combat when
guy.
everything is combat centered, so you're getting it late. You're already
Yeah,
making goblins
but
with your
it's
commander.
It's not gonna die after combat happens when you go to your end step. You're gonna keep the token. You can get it out on turn 2. It makes sense, Mike. It makes sense. Trust me. When it comes to Quinn, you can't question these things. It just has to happen.
Dude, I love
I shrug.
Searslicer. I understand where you're coming from. I do see
shrug.
that. However, Searslicer is a pet card.
Mike, look,
He's
I gotta
just a
tell
fucking
you,
boy.
I
don't know
have
what
to
tell
get
you.
in on the bullshit
I hear
too.
ya.
I can't not do it. Quinn says this card is gas. I have to go get the card and try to figure it out for myself.
I mean, fine,
It's-
but also you're running Mardu Ascendancy. You've got goblins coming out your ass. It's not like it's impossible.
Listen,
No,
no, I get
obviously
it.
not.
I absolutely understand. I just love Searslicer Goblin.
This is pure Quinn neuron activation card. Everything about this, it's simple low to the ground, does the thing, and rewards Quinn for doing the thing Faye wants to do, which is turn creatures sideways.
Dude,
That's
I
it.
love a raid trigger so much.
I get it, and I'm with you on the raid trigger. I just think that in this deck, I don't know. I also think, sadly missing from this list, Prosper. Prosper Tomebound.
I'm leaving. The podcast is over. What the fuck?
My
You
headphones
can't
are
come onto this
dying.
podcast and suggest this.
I
can't?
do really like that guy.
I mean, you can. I'm just not going to be happy with it.
I just can't always play that guy.
Yeah, I just...
I can and I
He's
do.
very strong.
I
You've seen
can,
it
I
once,
do,
you've
I
seen
will
it 1,000
continue.
times. I don't know.
That is very much allowed. I'm a certified mid-smoker, and we all know Prosper's that fucking loud pack.
It's, look, I think a friend of mine finally told me that he took apart his Prosper deck, and I was like, hallelujah, let's fucking get this shit out of here. It's just, it's bad juju, man. You're bringing.
I absolutely adore the card. I
You're-
play him in the 99 of a couple of places, but I gotta like put my hand on top of my hand when I'm reaching for Prosper and be like, sweetie, do you actually need to play Prosper here?
Like Mike,
Probably not.
here's the analogy, because we talk about smoking mids here, right? Like, this is the thing. We are all going out into the woods. We're out camping. We're going to the woods, and we're bringing back... We need someone, we need to, kindling or a way to get this fire started, and we're going to see what kind of pieces of wood we can bring to keep the fire going. And then you bring a jug of gasoline and say, this is how we're going to keep this fire going. And I'm like, bro, we don't need that
Yeah,
energy.
baby, let's get this fire started.
like, damn, all right. You know?
I mean, I'm sorry for enjoying an engine going off. It's just the way I like
don't
it.
get me wrong, Prosper is an amazing card, but it is an amazing card that does the thing.
Yeah, I
and
know.
you're like,
But
fuck.
for what it's worth, you are talking to the guy who is partly the reason that Ubamass spiked when Prosper happened. I played a camera game with I'm blanking on who it was, but someone with a decent sized following, and I played Ubamask in a game with them on a stream for Brainstorm Brewery, and the next day after all that chatter, or the day after, it was spiking on MTG stocks, and it got a shout out in the summary for it.
Whoops.
So Prosper, yeah, sorry, not sorry. Prosper is still one of my favorites, but do I get to play him often? No, not at all. So I get to play him in my Grixis Upkeep deck, though, because there's a lot of exile draw.
Perfect. That's fine. That's fine. I
He's
can
in
work
my
with that.
Rakdos the Muscle deck, because obviously. So,
Makes sense. I have him in the 99 of a Madness deck and an Impulse Draw Storm deck, and both
So
of those
sick.
are I draw him, he's the best fucking card in my deck, and I will protect him with my life.
100%. And you know what? I'd do the same in this deck.
I'm
You're so right,
I'm
though.
racking
I could
my brain.
absolutely put a Prosper in here.
I'm racking my brain trying to think if I had Prosper in a deck, but let me get back to you on that one.
I think you hate him too much. I don't think you'd put him in anything.
No, there were older decks that I think...
Before you hated Prosper?
No,
Yeah,
Cole likes a good card. He'll never say it out loud, but he loves a good card.
I like good
He'll
cards.
never say it out loud.
If you look at my commander roster right now of what are the legendary creatures in the zone, the ones that are really good busted commanders are the ones I don't pull out very often. But when it comes to the 99, I will definitely be playing a good card. But my sense of quote-unquote fair play is elusive and alien.
Oh yeah, dude.
Okay?
It's fucking nebulous and vibe-spaced, as it always is.
I
Same as
said
everybody.
I said recently that I'm I think the reason why I love playing Commander and not giving 100% effort all the time is because I'm a deeply uncompetitive person. And then Fitz immediately
Same.
was in hold on a second, Cole. Why do you get upset when all these things happen? I'm it's because it's unfair, Fitz. It's because to me it is unfair.
Call your ass out.
Oh yeah, no, I'm guilty. I am guilty as all hell. I am not without sin for sure.
Look, I am not a very I will not say that I'm not competitive at all. I am not very competitive because
No, I get
part
the
of me,
spark, I get that.
we got to be a little bit to play the game, but I do love prioritizing a moment over like the competition of it all. So that's like the
Yeah.
fun for me. But
Look,
if somebody
like-
gets in the way of that, that's when I'm like, you really want to do this? You want?
Yeah. Like I have those moments where if I crush a table and there's no resistance, I'm like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I fucked up. This was not the
Damn.
vibe. And you know what? Sometimes stuff like the stars align and it happens and you're just like, well, shit. But I feel bad about that. But when I'm in this case where someone is the arch enemy definitively from the word go turns 0 and they win very quickly and no one, either they attempted to try or just didn't have the removal or whatever, and you're just like, fuck. Like, this also equally sucks to be in that position.
Yeah.
And I want that feeling of like there's the ebb and flow and everyone's even keel for the most part and then someone manages to pull ahead. If that game goes 2 hours and everyone's exhausted because there's 20 board wipes, okay, that's not the narrative we're all looking for, but if that's what it took to win the game, then at least there was a struggle in it. But when someone's like, cool, this is my super bonkers commander and it does the thing and it's gonna do the thing every time guaranteed 100% unless he told me no, then I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm not bringing the same energy to the game, I guess. But whatever. It's, you know, in this case, I'm like, hey, Nerev in the command zone? That seems sweet. I love seeing
Yeah.
that. That's a cool card. I'm not going to instantly lose my marbles over it.
I am pretty stoked about this card. I think this deck has made me feel a lot better about Nerev from the Commander Precon.
Yeah.
This list is pretty
it's
cool,
sick.
Quinn. This is
Thank you.
pretty sick. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming
definitely
to a
got
commander table near you.
Yeah, this deck is definitely getting the juices flowing. Like, it's like the gears are spinning. It's awesome.
Hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just make sure it doesn't look quite the same.
And it won't.
Yeah, and I
Prosper
want
will
it
be in
on
the
my
deck.
desk in 2 weeks.
No!
So
2 weeks. 2 weeks, Mike. You know how it works.
Yeah, but you know how I do it. I might not even put this one together. Like, it's just gonna be a
that's
list on
fine.
mine.
I just want to
It'll-
see the brew, babes. I want to see
Yeah,
what you
just
come up with.
give the
Oh,
list.
okay.
Hey, print
I'll
it
do
out.
that.
Hand
I'm
the list
doing
over.
research.
The
Yeah.
list will get sent.
All right.
Okay.
I think that takes us to the soapbox section here. How are we feeling about that? What you got for me?
Mike, here's the mic. Go nuts.
Okay.
It's
Well,
soapbox
I
time.
mean, this is nuts because we have been going on for a while, and my headphones are at 6%. So I'm gonna try to make sure this is quicker than anything so far. I think podcasts rule.
Okay, thank you.
Podcasts are a lot of fun to do, but sometimes I just want to call my friend without needing a schedule because being an adult can suck ass. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I just think
Real shit.
that, and not for nothing, this is kind of like a thing where, you know, we know each other from online. I don't have either of your phone numbers. I don't even know your last names. You know what I mean? We're pals through this game online via avatars and like screen names and all that stuff. And this is a real friendship. This is like, it is by all metrics like a real deal thing. But there are times where I'm walking the dog, we're dog sitting, or I'm just like having a stroll and I'm listening to a podcast and I'm thinking, man, I'd really like to give somebody a call. And I think that that's a fun impulse that I have not been giving into as much as I think I should and will begin to do soon. I think this is something that I want to encourage people to do when, you know, if we're pals and you think of me, reach out. That's fun. I love chatting with people about all things, and I'm about it. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'll be thinking of you and I'll just give you a shout, maybe send you a message. I'm trying to get into the habit of doing that more, and I think that is where it's at. I think especially with the way things are going in the world right now, I just want to chat with pals, see how they're doing, and also be like, hey, this is making it a little bit easier to go through all of it. You know, just knowing you're out there, you're not having the best time, much like I am, but at least we get to laugh and be silly about something or another from not just my country, but to yours, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I also want to encourage content creators. This is switching gears a little bit. I want to encourage content creators to make time to play games without cameras, or like without an audience. We need to play more non-content games. I set one up with a couple of pals not long ago, and it was delightful. It was like Veggie Wagon and Alex from the Spike Feeders and Proxy, and we were just setting up, and we were like, hey, do you guys feel like playing a game? I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And then what ends up happening is like, yeah, there's a little bit of business to talk about because we're all in the same sphere and whatnot, but we're playing games with pals, And so that got me thinking like, oh, nice. I really do love this game. I love not playing for an audience. I love like playing a little bit more of in this game I'm gonna go for the play to win, like we've discussed it, and it's not, while it wouldn't make for good content, it's making for this is the game for this, So I think that's something I'm trying to also do more of, which is I'm going out to my LGS a little bit more often now.
Ooh.
I'm calling my pals when Tarkir comes out. I'm taking my buddies out for some sealed. And then the weekend later, they're coming over for some Commander. And these are guys who, again, are kind of tapped out on Magic, but they're back in for Tarkir.
Yeah.
And so what I think my soapbox moment is just, I'm all about saying is strengthen your friendships, be kind to each other. This is a hobby that we're all invested in and that we all enjoy. But at the end of the day, and it's such a cliche to say this, the gathering aspect is like the most important piece of it all. It really is the thing that's going to maintain your sanity. Like, yes, there's elements of being like creative with Magic, like the MickEDH thing alone. Like these cards are like, you're sending me this list and I'm like, I wouldn't do it like this, but I'm fucking, now you're getting me looking at narrative when I had been like, forget the dragon, it's all about Zergo. And now I'm like, yeah, this dragon is pretty fucking sick. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
dude.
It's a beautiful thing to feel inspired by your friendships. And I think that's something that I want to encourage people to do more of. Like, I've always said that if I had hella money, nobody I know would be going hungry. You know what I mean?
Oh, don't
if
even
I had
get me
hella
started,
money,
man. Yeah.
that like birthday gifts I would be keeping a business afloat by I would have a bobblehead guy to like, hey, this year I'm doing bobbleheads for gifts. Can you like make one of each of these people for their birthday, have it ready to send out? That's the idea. Just something like that's what if I had money, it would be like, my pals are going to feel so loved, and I hope they radiate that energy out in the world, and it makes the world a better place because I trust in their ability to pass on goodness and kindness and that energy that you kind of need to keep going. Like, it's not easy to wake up every morning and say, let's do this. A lot of mornings, especially lately, are not that kind of morning for a lot of people.
No.
Right?
Drag yourself out of bed if you can manage it, and then you go to work, and then great.
Yeah.
Then what? It's
Yeah. And even if you're not close to somebody, if you see an Instagram reel that makes you think of them, fucking send it to them. No more thoughts, okay? Just impulsively dive into your friendships. That's what this whole thing is. Make the world a better place by outwardly proving to people that you care. And that is it. I'm going to be making more phone calls this year. I'm going to be sending texts and fucking messages to people when I think of them a lot more this year. And I'm going to be trying to set up games where it's just like the hang is the most important part. And I think with all that combined, I'm going to feel like this summer coming up is going to feel like, yeah, historically speaking, maybe one of the worst summers to happen in a long time. But at least on a personal level, I'm doing everything that I can to make it a lot more bearable for myself and the people I care about. And that's where I'm, and that's the tea, baby. 3 hours and 30 minutes into the show.
I think that's a lovely fucking sentiment to leave this off on. Do you want to tell the people where they can find you online and all of that so we can get the hell on out of here?
Yeah, Google my name. There we go.
Mic drop.
MikeCarrozza. Am I the Bolas articles on Commander's Herald? Am I the Bolcast wherever you listen to podcasts? I have stand-up comedy stuff. Just look me up. My name, if you spell it right, will lead you directly to me or an obituary for a realtor out in Connecticut or a snowboarder in Italy. And those are your 3 choices. But I have the biggest digital footprint, so you'll find me quicker.
Yeah, that's true.
All right,
yeah.
you heard it here first. Google him.
Yeah, Google me.
We have been the Here's Played 5 Chick podcast. You can find us on Bluesky at HBVC-MTG. I'm at Girl Dick Energy. Cole is the Bloodrick guy. And find us on wherever podcasts are sold. It's been lit. Mike, thanks so much for coming through. You've been an
great.
absolutely
Long time
lovely guest.
coming.
Oh,
happy
God.
to
Oh,
come on. So happy to be
Absolutely,
here.
it's been
Thanks
so
for having
lit.
me. You guys are the best.
For jerseys.
I
Now we
wouldn't
gotta
book
get a
off
game
4
in.
hours just for
for
anybody.
this.
I knew this was coming, and I was like, I told my girlfriend, I was
Saddle
like,
up,
you gotta
buddy."
pretend I'm not home for the whole afternoon.
You could give me glares from across the room, but just you gotta let me to my business. You know?
Locking
Like,
in.
She has been gone for 2.5 hours. Like, she
oh,
was
okay.
off
Well, there you go. All right, let's
Thanks
set
again.
sail and head on home.
Hell yeah, hit that outro
Scoot
music.
the day, baby.
Later, gamers.